anyone's time. Want to say a big thank you to all our invited speakers for being here, for giving us that some of us will pay good your experience. And we also want to specially thank and welcome all
from event professionals to corporate organizations, non-profits, and individuals alike. Say hello to Seamless Operations with TEPS. Create stunning landing pages tailored to your needs and brand. Track performance with real-time analytics and engage attendees with polls and surveys. Plus, simplify check-ins with QR codes and keep your attendees informed with content marketing. Join TEPS today and make every event a hit.
That's the cue for us to put our hands together. Join TEPS today and make every event, just like the Guardian Women Festival, a hit. So I'd like to invite Busayo Lunge from TEPS to come and address us. Please, let's put our hands together for him.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. This is a privilege. So statistics has it that 3 of every people in the room, of every 5 people in the room, have events coming up. You know, by asking people, you would know that someone has an event. Could be your birthday, you sell tickets for your festivals, concerts, and it doesn't just help you. You do it yourself, really. You just do it with the features on TEPS, from on-site registration, creating stunning landing pages, which is, you can see from your registration for the Guardian Festival, Women Festival, you must have seen some really nice emails you must have been getting for your company event.
Sector. When you talk about technology, she's someone that I respect and I admire a lot. She's currently the general manager at Lastra. Please put your hands together for Bilikis Adebi Abiola. Looking so beautiful too. In fact, everyone came like 100 today. I love it. Next, we have a multi-talented, award-winning media entrepreneur, award-winning actor. She's graced our screens as a TV host, the airwaves as a radio host, and she's really brought us magic through her delivery. She's an actress, and she's an all-round lovely person. Please put your hands together for Folu Storms. Woo! Finally, we have our moderator for today. It was really an honor to meet her this morning. She comes with experience, and I can't wait to hear all the amazing insights that will come from this conversation. Again, one more time, with a lot of energy, a lot of pizzazz, let's welcome Zainab Alabi, Head of Operations at Number, looking very beautiful, and she'll be moderating this conversation. So we have, I believe, about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll have 10 or 15 minutes for questions from the audience. Please, let's just leave all the mics on. That's the instruction from the media team. That way, we're not trying to fiddle with it. And again, while we're posting, let's use our hashtag Guardian Woman Festival.
Hello. Hello? Yeah. Thank you very much, Isabella, for that great introduction. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. As Isabella said, my name is Zainab Alabi. I work as Head of Operations at Number, and I'm glad to be here today. So we'll be discussing strengths in femininity and how we can leverage that to our success. I mean, for me, generally, I've always wondered why women are considered to be the weaker gender. It's never made sense to me, because being a woman in itself is an embodiment of strength. It's what we go through, is our perseverance, is our grit, is in our tenacity. And then it dawned on me that I think the reason why we are seen as the weaker sex or gender is because of the conditioning that we've gone through the years. I mean, just in 1967, we had the first woman that ran the marathon. Not because we couldn't run the marathon, but because we have been made to believe that as women, our body can't handle it. And for some reason, we accepted that. So for me, I think the biggest thing is the mindset, the perception, and that conditioning that we are the weaker sex and we don't have strength. I'm joined here by 3 very excellent, very successful women today, and I hope that we can shed some insight into how we can sort of like just tap into that strength and use it to our leverage. So let me start by asking everyone here, and Folu, I'm looking at you, is what are some of the societal sort of like expectations that you believe you've struggled with personally? So societal expectation or stereotypes as a woman that you've struggled with, and how have you overcome that?
Thank you very much for that question. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure. I'll be very honest, for a large part of my childhood, I didn't believe that there were any different expectations of myself. Maybe because I was raised with boys. I have a number of brothers. And so I always just assumed, because more or less how I was treated was the same as my brothers, until post-puberty, post-university. I remember coming back home, and then I would start getting comments and statements like, a good woman doesn't, and I remember being shocked. I was like, I don't understand. What's happening here? What's going on? So I think fundamentally what I started struggling with in my young adulthood was this idea that my sense of liberation, my sense of freedom was somehow wrong, that it was somehow not feminine. I remember also then I started paying attention to the way that people would address me. They're like, you're a bit of a tomboy, aren't you? And I was like, what does that mean? That's a label that people put on girls who refuse to be confined. It's a label that we encourage other women to use. It's a label that we encourage our young boys to use on girls or women who honestly just enjoy living as individuals. And so it's something that I'm very conscious about when people say that. And I smile and I'm like, why do you use that term? What makes you think that it's okay to classify me in a specific way? What box do you want me to fit in that I'm not fitting in for you? And quite often it's not our fault. Again, it's conditioning, it's society. So I think fundamentally that's it. I think I've always been a relatively free-spirited individual. My father would say quietly rebellious.
Love it.
And that's been the biggest challenge, if I were to put one, to say I recognize, and I'm more comfortable now in my late 30s, my 40 minus, thank you, in being okay with not fitting in and not fitting into a box. And whenever people do ask questions, I also try to see what especially if there are people in your family or people who mean well for you, I try to see what the intention is behind the language, because we're not always conscious of the language that we use. So I'm like, okay, what aspect of my behavior is causing this person concern? Where are they afraid that I won't thrive? Maybe they're afraid that people will see me differently, that there will be prejudice against me. And I try to consider that in my response and in how I move forward, because I'm not perfect. We're all learning. Nobody's been here before. And the older I get, the more I realize also my parents haven't been here before. My relatives haven't been here before. We're all winging it as we go along. So that would be the biggest restriction. We tend to try and put women, especially in boxes, and often those boxes don't fit us.
Agreed. Biliki, same question for you.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that Folu said, and I would even go and say from my own perspective, as someone that started a company, I had to tap into my alpha female to be assertive, to be pushful, to be confrontational. And many people look at it as, are you a man? Are you trying to be a man? Because, you know, as an alpha female, as someone that is a leader, there is a part of your personality that is very, very masculine. You know, you are shouting on people if you have to. You are going down to the core of the issue. And it's not well received. People don't celebrate that side of women. And that's really the side that we have to tap into if we want to get results. I remember there was a time I took somebody around, we cyclers, and when the guy finished looking around, the first thing he said was, "You must be a stubborn woman." and I think he meant it as a compliment. So I'm like, so I must be a stubborn woman to work hard. You know, so I think being a woman, being a successful woman, I think there is an aspect of, yeah, I'm trying to be a man. Are you a man? So like, I think that is an issue that we as society we have to celebrate women. In whatever package we come in, there shouldn't be a negative connotation to a woman that's trying to do her best, because it's not easy for us. We struggle with so much. We have to compartmentalize our lives. We have to sacrifice so many things. And for people to just keep on pushing and pushing, that's really tough. I think another one is, until recently, so I'm 40-something, so I know, early 40s, very, very, very early. Until recently, you know, we've always tried to be, all of us have, I've always tried to be a good girl. I've been raised to be a good girl. I was the head girl in my school. I got all the A's. I did all of that, SATs, everything. And they were like, don't do this, don't do that, don't be wayward, don't be that. And then I'm now looking at it and like, all those wayward girls in school, they're doing okay. Like, they were lying to us. So, you know, like there's this issue of like, they put us in a box, they try to control us. But all the girls that I saw in school that were doing the wrong things, they turned out okay. So don't listen to anybody. Listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy Kiss. Dolly, we'd love to hear from you as well.
Hi, everyone. Okay, my case is slightly different, similar but different. My dad, God rest his soul, raised me to be like him. He is a bulldozer. He believes he can do anything, anyhow, whenever he wants to. Age, nothing was a barrier for him. And I feel, without him telling me that, I became like that. He was an engineer. Growing up, I just knew I was going to be an engineer. I knew. And I just followed him in how he moved with life. He wasn't scared. He was fearless. He did everything he wanted to do. Even when he went wrong, he admitted, oh, this went wrong, and I owned that, and he moved on. And I feel that had a major impact on how I turned out. So I was called a tomboy. I was, you know, very overweight for many years as well. And with that, I got into a lot of sports in school. And my parents really, really encouraged me with that. So I didn't feel at any point like I was different from the boys. I went to a girls' school as well, so there were no boys to compare myself to, or even feel, you know, this is secondary school anyway, to feel anyhow. So I feel I was just raised as a man, and I didn't see any difference with being a woman or a man. It's society that tries to box women into, you should be the nurturing one, you should stay at home, you should look after your younger sisters, brothers, this, that, while the boys are doing, no. My dad made sure the boys, the girls, in fact, the girls in my family did way more than the boys did. He made sure that we had the biggest dreams. Even I remember when I wanted to start Alpha Fitness, and I found a nice, cozy, you know, mall that I was going to start. And I was like, oh, Dad, I want it to be, you know, very bespoke. He said, why? Get a building, you know, get grounds. I said, are you going to pay for it? I'm not like you, you know. I will get there, but now let me just start where I can, you know, build up. He had that mentality, and he raised us that way. So I never saw myself as any different from the man. They say women are the weaker sex just because strength-wise we can't match a man. But if we want to go by strategy, some people might say strategy is manipulation, is all the same thing.
Agreed.
You know? Yeah. If you want to go by strategy and the strengths that we have as women, that, you know, emotional intelligence that we naturally have, that intuition that we have. I'm not saying men don't have it, men in the house, hey. But we women, we were built that way naturally. You get me? Those things. And then we live in a man's world where women are doing what men are doing as well. Then with those special giftings and talents and blessings that God gave us as being a woman, which, sorry, is not our fault, men. Men don't have them because we were built that way. We are incubators. You know, there's a way in which women ruminate over things that men necessarily can't because that's not their makeup. You know, so adding that to being in a man's world, doing what men do, come on. we're the stronger sex. I mean, we are. There's too much going on. So going back to what Zainab said, I didn't grow up feeling I was limited in any way. I grew up believing I could do absolutely anything, anytime, at any age that I wanted to do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dolly. And as you were talking, I was reminded of the fact that, you know, I asked this question and I think to myself, what were those things that I struggled with growing up? And I think for me, it was the fact that women are not seen as natural leaders. So when you go into any situation, whether it's the workplace or even at home, you are expected to take the back seat. And without realizing it, it's been said over and over again over the years that you start to accept it. I'll give you an example. When I was in school, I'm quite an introvert, so you always see me with my books, right? And I was ahead of the class, way ahead of the class. And a lecturer said to me one day, Zainab, you do realize that you're a girl. Oh, yes, you do realize that you're a girl, and there are other boys in the class. You don't always have to lead. I'm thinking, okay, so I should intentionally fail so that I can caress the ego of the boys in the class. It made absolutely no sense. And I'm the kind of person that is triggered by that. Like, okay, is this what we are doing? Okay, let's go. And he even went as far as telling me that the next exam is going to make it very hard, just so that he can prove a point. And I told him, if you do that, you're only making it worse for the rest of the class. Because if I don't pass, you can imagine how the others are going to struggle. So for me, that was it. And is that ability to be assertive, is that ability to be able to do it even if you're afraid of it. And I think we have it. It's inherent in us because we face it in every aspect of our life. That need to constantly say, I am here. I can do it. It's something that we have as women. And that will bring me to my next question, which is, you know, the odds are kind of already stacked against us as women, biologically, even societally. And so we always have to find our peace. What is that one thing that you resonate with that gives you that emotional strength? For me, it's physical fitness. And Dolly, I'm looking at you because, look, if you have not checked out Dolly's Instagram page, you need to go there. It's amazing. What Dolly does with her body is just, look, I'm going to see you after this. So I guess my next question is, and I think we're just getting to know the ladies, I think we share that in common, is that physical fitness, being able to say, you know, I can test what is perceived as my limits. So my question will be, what parallels can you draw, and Dolly, I'm looking at you, it will apply to everyone too. What parallels can you draw between physical fitness and emotional training, and how has that helped you in life, you know, to forge ahead?
So for me, like I said earlier, I was overweight for most of my life. So from the age of 11, I started going to the gym. My dad too had a heart attack at 38, and he had to drop half his size. So he just took the next overweight person that, come on, we're going to the gym. So I've been working out, dieting, since I was 11 years old. So that already shaped my mind in how I saw life. I had goals to achieve. My dad had half his size to lose. I was like, I too gave myself a goal. I didn't know, but I just knew that I had this picture in my head of what I should look like, not what the world wanted me to look like, but what I wanted to look like. And having that goal just stuck in my head. And it made me naturally just build that, being goal-oriented, and then building the discipline. Like I said, I was in sports throughout school. I had the strength. I just didn't know why I was the size I was. And, you know, like having that goal and achieving the goal, automatically you are self-motivated. So with being a woman, with me being that way, it just translates to work, translates to life. And with weight training, you girls, you know, when somebody's bench pressing like 100 and you can only do 30, the day you do 50, nobody can talk to you.
You believe that?
Nobody. Because that day, it's only 50, you bench pressed, or, you know, and then it's like you can lift a car. That self-motivation that comes with just surpassing your goal is mind-blowing. It boosts your mood. It makes you think better. It makes you even give yourself a higher goal to achieve. Also with resilience as well. It's not easy. You know how it is. You know, leg pressing. You can comfortably leg press 70. And there's another woman. You know, because at this point, it's not the men you're looking at. No, no, no. Especially men don't have enough leg strength like we do. Yes. Upper body strength, yes, guys, you've got it. But leg strength is for the girls. You know, when a woman, you say a woman, you know that is not easy. It's taking her consistency, persistency. You know, she's been persistent. She's been consistent with that, trying to push that extra 5K, that extra 10K to get to pushing 80, 90, 100. That is exactly how it is with emotional resilience. If we surround ourselves with people that reinforce positive, what's the word I'm looking for? Positive life lessons, positive traits, things that we should do better. You know, I'm very big on my spirituality. So Proverbs and Psalms, I live by, to be honest, because, you know, I talk a lot, I know. And sometimes the Bible too tells you when you talk too much, you are a fool. You should listen more. So when you hear things like that, then you now start to make changes. Okay, let me listen more. Let me apply myself more. It's the same way in the gym. It's just being consistent and persistent in learning those things, and also learning from your setbacks and your challenges in the gym. Not every day is a good day, you know. Some days, you know, they say show up. I've showed up. I've seen everybody. I can't do nothing. Today, you know, there are some bad days. But then you feed off. You don't let that put you down. The next time you go, you're like, okay, that was a bad day. What did I do wrong? What did I eat? What was I thinking about? What set me back? This and this, that and that. And you use that to fuel yourself for the next thing. Exactly the same thing with your emotions as well. Look at how you behaved when you were in a situation when you were in your 30s. And then you can't behave the same way in your 40s. They say repeated behavior with a different expectation is madness. We can't live that way. So you live by, okay, how I've improved myself, how I've developed myself, how I've grown, what I've learned in the past, to then make better decisions, to then lift heavier weights, to eat right. Don't take your sugars first thing in the morning, you know, because it's going to give you a glucose spike, and the next thing you're craving sugars, then you're looking at the person that's drinking alcohol saying that they're an addict. You're a sugar addict. You understand? You learn. Yeah, you learn. And then that is how we translate everything. It's exactly the same thing. I hope I
yes,
made
you
sense.
did.
Yeah.
More than I expected. Bilkis?
Yeah, I think for me, similar. I started working out seriously 5 years ago when I had my third. It coincided around the time my father passed away as well, and it was also a heart attack. And I think for me, it was just like, look, this is something I want to do because it's in my family, it's in my blood, so I need to be more aggressive. So I joined a gym, CrossFit. So Zainab is also, she's also a CrossFitter, and Toby, call out. And you know, my brother, who happens to be the coach of the gym, he said one of the things that CrossFit teaches you is that every day, while you are doing your CrossFit, you are facing the biggest demons of your day, because you are going into these workouts. The workouts are really crazy. They are tough. They are really, for normal people, it's like, what are you guys doing? And then you get through those workouts, and then you know that, look, there's nothing else. You can achieve anything else. So I think for me, physical fitness has helped me to kind of control my demons. You know, if you have issues, if you have things that are frustrating you, channel them during the workouts, you know, and then take the time to relax and then solve the problem. And it really, really, really helps, you know, just having that time away. I tell people that it's like that 1 hour in the gym is like I'm in my adult playground. So, you know, those of us that have children, you take your children to the playground. That is my playground time. I gossip, I gist, I play around, horse around, and then I have a good time. So I think we all need to find some way that we can use to manage challenges.
Folu, do you want to throw some light on that as well?
Yeah, I look at sort of working out in two distinct parts for me in my life. I started off, I used to play a lot of team sports. I'm a big team sports person. And then in the last maybe 6, 7 years, I got into working out at the gym. I always used to say I used to hate the gym, and I still do. I just go because I understand the importance. And I'll tell you why I mentioned those two different aspects. The first part, in terms of team sports, it helps you deal with people. It helps you work with people to achieve a goal. And I find that men, because they play a lot of team sports, tend to be very attuned to that. Women need to develop that skill. Men will often have pick-up football, pick-up basketball. They'll do it once a week as standard. It's a lot tougher to find those women's teams, but find them if you can. Because working as a group and as a team to achieve a goal is one of the key skills you're going to need in growing in life and reaching that C-suite level. Just being at the top of your game across the board, it's super important. I didn't understand that when I was younger, even though I was doing it. It's probably what led to me also being head girl and things like that, because intuitively I just knew, because that's how I always operated. But then I got into just working out for the sake of body maintenance and wanting to live a long and healthy life, which, again, when you're young and your body is doing everything it's supposed to do as it's supposed to do, it's easy to be like, gym, for what? Please, I'm not trying to lose weight. It's not for losing weight, guys. The gym is not for losing weight. It is an adult playground, but it's for body maintenance. We're constantly praying and asking God for a long life. Treat your body like a machine that you need to oil and service regularly. Motion is lotion for your body. You have to do it. No, it really is. So, and also it does build mental toughness. The challenge of going to the gym is beyond being able to hit a PR record. It's just showing up. It's saying that today, along with my prayer, along with this is something else I have to do. And it's a very difficult thing. Most of us, that's the biggest challenge we face, especially people who are regular workout people, regular gym goers, regular fitness people. Just getting up to go is the hardest part of the workout. So I think if there were anything I were to share, that's what it really helps me do, because also, holistically, it helps with our hormone regulations. Ladies, hormones govern the female body. From the time we hit puberty till we drop dead. Hormones govern the female body. So adding workouts or exercise or physical movement to your life will only help you in the long term. It will help with your luteal phase. It will help with when you're actually menstruating. It will help when you're hitting menopause. It will help. There's no other way to say it. It's just the reality. Whether we like it or not, we go, oh my God, my body this. The more you work out, the more you learn to pay attention to your body's signals. You learn to understand your body better. You learn to know when there's a real problem or when the problem is just you've been spiking your glucose levels because you're eating nonsense. If you have to work out, you suddenly start paying better attention to how you're fueling your body. Your body is here for a limited time, but while it's here, you want to keep it in the best peak condition possible. So that's what physical exercise does for me, mentally, physically, emotionally. It evens everything out. It does.
I agree totally. And I was thinking for me, it's consistency as well. I mean, when you get to work out, you realize that Rome wasn't built in a day. I think that's the common mistake people make. I got into CrossFit not even knowing what that was really about. I just said, you know what, I wanted to get fit and I wanted to get stronger. But then you get there and you realize, I tell people that when I see people with six packs now, before it was for aesthetics, I'm like, wow. Now I look at them, I'm like, wow. This person must have put in a lot of work. You do fitness and you do CrossFit or any form of fitness exercise, and you realize that it actually takes time to get results. And the only way you're going to get that result is to be consistent. And I take that mentality into the workplace. Because there are times where we feel like, you know, I've been in this business, or I've been at this work, I need that promotion today, I need this, I need that. But I remind myself that the only way that result is going to come is for me to continue to stay consistent, and like Dolly said, is to continue to find ways to improve myself. For me, that's what fitness is. If I can do something today and I can do it better tomorrow, I'm guaranteed of those results only if I don't stop. And that takes me, that makes me get through life in every aspect, relationship, workplace. It's the consistency that pays.
And Zainab, I'll just quickly add, like, even if you do fall off the bandwagon, it doesn't matter. You were the one that got yourself up to that peak. You can always do it again. So even if there are setbacks, fair enough, I fell off, it's fine. You can always retrace your steps and go back up and even further. So there's no end to it, really.
Yeah, agreed. And we've been saying a lot of things since morning in terms of women being conditioned, and I think that is our biggest problem. It's that conditioning. It's us believing that we are not supposed to do something, not because we have tried and failed, but because we have been told that we're not supposed to do it that way. I think that's one of our biggest vulnerabilities, and brings me to my next question. Is, for you ladies, what mindset shifts have you sort of used? What strategies, what mindset shift have you used to embrace those things you consider as vulnerabilities and use it to your strength? Folu, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's see, a couple of things. I think one, I'm very good at a lot of things. And it sounds like a humble brag. It's not. It's something, especially in my working life, early in my working life, I was criticized heavily for. I started off, I'm a trained barrister. I'm a lawyer. I qualified in a few places.
I noticed a lot of lawyers get into acting.
A lot of lawyers are in a lot of fields because they're highly transferable skills.
Interesting.
The skill set you develop as a barrister, as an advocate, you can use in public speaking. You used to be able to understand your clients. You tend to have a very good way of listening, digesting the information and dealing with the facts, not how you feel, but what is written down on paper, which is a bit disconcerting for people because we all have a sense of what we think is justice or right, but then there's also reality of a contract. What did you sign? And I mentioned that almost as a weakness because when I got into entertainment, which I did because I understood, for me inherently, the importance of projecting what I wanted to see in the world. Media is very powerful, as we should know. We're sitting in the Guardian newspaper has been in the business of sharing stories that are important and sharing stories that have a way of affecting public perception. A lot of the things that we believe, we think about, we discuss in our everyday lives, we've read in the newspaper, we've watched on television, we've listened to on radio, and we absorb that as our own thought process. That is the power of media. And the reason I made that switch from law to media was because I understood, well, get involved in that process of creating, especially what young people are seeing, because what you see, you can become. I personally had a game plan, which at the time I didn't know how tough it was going to be, but lawyers, we like templates. So I said, all right, I'm going to do this across radio, television, and film. Easy, right? No biggie. Just do that, just get involved. And I went around pitching ideas to people. I did get into radio, and then when it got time to get on television, the radio was like, well, you can't do both. And I said, why? They're like, no, you have to choose one. So I quit the radio, and I ended up on producing for television. And then the opportunity came to develop my skill sets in film. And I said, well, I want to do both. And again, they said, why? You can't do that. Choose one. And I said, okay, I'm going to build a new skill set because I've got here. And then again, all through that, people would say, but you're so good at this radio. Why won't you just do this? Why won't you just do that? But then when COVID hit, guess who was chilling? Because I had this skill set that allowed me to do multiple things in multiple places all at once. I was not a victim to just, because no longer were you able to go into offices. You could no longer, just have film things. I have a home-built studio. I do voice work at home, I can host things. There were so many options that became open to me because I was true to what I felt I had to do, which was to build these natural talents I have across these different forms of media. And now I just tell people, I'm like, well, what may seem like a lack of focus to you is actually completely focused to me. Because communication and media is just across different platforms. I happen to be gifted in a way that I can do it across multiple platforms. So I work at developing my skill across multiple platforms because it is useful in multiple occasions. The other thing as well is my natural empathy, which again, I know women are told often we're very emotional. You're too emotional. I don't think that's a problem. I think you just need to recognize that you have it. You need to recognize that if you are naturally a highly empathetic person, you need to create boundaries. Your boundary has to be firm. If somebody takes advantage of your kindness, your generosity, pay attention to it. When people show you who they are, believe them and create a boundary that cannot be crossed. I also deal with dogs. I raise dogs quite a lot, and I have a very powerful dog. She's a Boerboel. Her name is Kekere. Some of you may have seen her. And that's not a dog to play with. That's not a dog to not have boundaries with, because that dog will cause serious bodily harm and damage. And that's something I've learned from the animal world as well, is creating those firm boundaries. Once you tell this dog no, once you tell a person no, you have to be willing to stand on that. You have to be willing to almost die on that boundary, because otherwise it will hurt you, and it will cause sometimes irreparable body harm. That's very important. My empathy also allows me to communicate in a very real way. It's probably what people hear on radio, it's what they see in film. So those are the two things that I think people had called a disadvantage for me in the past, but I've learned how to harness that by just understanding who I am and how best to tweak it so that it is an advantage.
Thank you, Phil. That was really interesting. Billy Case?
Yeah, it was very, very fascinating. I would say two things. The first is curiosity. So that may seem, when I started WeCyclers, like people thought I was crazy. I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, when I came back to Nigeria from the US, my father thought I could have gotten any job, but I decided to go into the slums of Surulere to be collecting plastic with my MBA. And my father, later on, after we had started WeCyclers successfully, he said he was very scared, because he was like, why is this girl coming to pack plastic? What is wrong with her? She gone crazy. So, I think that curiosity allows me, to just, where people don't see anything, they might not see value, they might think I'm crazy, but that, just being able to focus and just hone in, even when you don't see results, has really helped me, just sticking through things. I think as women, we are like that. We are very good at perseverance. Yes. Sometimes they'll tell you, what is wrong with you? Are you a doormat? But for us, we can stick into something and hold on. So that I think it helped me a lot. Another one is, I'm a mom, and as a mom, you basically don't have time. There's no time. You have to handle your children, you have to juggle so many things, and that may seem as a disadvantage, because people think, oh, she doesn't have time. But that has really helped me to be more strategic with my time, to also be more intentional with my time. And now it's a strength for me, because I know immediately, oh, this is a waste of my time. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this meeting because, So, I think as a woman or as women, we can actually take things that people think are going to make us have a disadvantage into something where we are now we have these really strong powers where we can actually be more efficient. Because people that have time, they can spend 2-3 hours talking about something and wasting time. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can come 20 minutes, boom, 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 and you get results. And then you can do more of those 20-minute things and actually have more results than somebody that seems to have more time. So,
thank you very much, Billy Case. Dolly, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Okay, so for me, my weight problem as a child really shaped a lot of things for me. Because I was told, oh, you're built that way, you're big boned, you can never lose weight. Look at your dad, that's how you are in your family. And for me to go from a size 18 to a size 6, it literally reconditioned my mind that I can absolutely do anything that I want to at any time. I was in a lot of sports in school, I competed for my school, but my dad was very academic, so I wasn't one of those that they would say, okay, go into sports full time. And I always had it at the back of my mind that I would love to go to the Olympics. I would love to do stuff like that. And that wasn't a reality for me, right? Because my academics was more important to my parents. And then I've been training in karate since I was 13 years old. And I won 2 bronze medals for Nigeria last year, November, in a world championship. So for me, that whole, thank you, but to the point, for me, that just, the way in which I sort of focused on that weight loss and achieved such a great fit and still maintain that size till now, maintain the manner in which I've changed my lifestyle completely to be the size that I am, to maintain the goal, that goal setting, that discipline, that consistency and resilience in my head, to be able to achieve what I did last November. For me, it just means there's really no limitation. We can do anything we want to do at any time in our lives. I really thank God I have a husband that really understands that I'm a nomad and an explorer, and I'm not supposed to be in one place at any given time. The Holy Spirit is still helping me, you know. But he understands, and he allows me to be whatever I want to be, to do whatever I want to do, and go wherever I want to go. So that as well, God has used to bless me in just helping me do whatever I want to do. I feel women truly should have no limitation in their mind. What would a 44-year-old be doing in a world championship when all the other people there are 20s, 19, 17? And you get me, to get to that level. But it's because I didn't see my age or see the fact that I have children and I should be at home taking care of them. I just had a goal in my head and an aspiration, and I just focused on that. And then I just thank God that I've created systems around me that helps me achieve that. So a lot of women we speak to in my dojo, in Alpha Fitness Studios, we're trying to raise women, young girls, most especially. In karate, we don't see gender. We see everybody as a karateka. So we're raising the boys and girls to believe that, look, Nigeria is not a hindrance. Your age, your background is not a hindrance. What you have up here, the picture you have in your head and what you want to achieve is what you keep in your forefront. And God helping us, you will achieve it. Do everything you need to do to achieve that. That is all that matters. Because I was saying to Folu earlier, we're all here for a purpose. Some of us is multiple purposes. Some of us is one purpose. Our life's job on this earth is to find what that purpose is and to fulfill it. The moment you find it, money, wealth, all of that is just an addition. It's to support that purpose. So I encourage us all to find what it is that purpose is and live in it. And the stratosphere is just the beginning for us all.
Thank you so much, me. And I'll always bring my experiences to the workplace, right? Because I have been working for almost 2 decades now. And so most of that learning has come from the workplace. And I was discussing with Bilikis earlier, and I said, it took me to be a mother to realize this actually, is as women, I believe we are natural nurturers. And so for some reason in the workplace, that is a sign of weakness. You hear men saying things like, she's a woman, that's how she not call them, and this and that. But for me, when we talk about team leadership, a man his strategy is more, this is the goal, this is what we have set, and that's how we do it. Which you will see as a vulnerability. I am more inclined to call you and have a discussion. What are your challenges? This was the goal that we set. This was how you performed. What were the challenges that you faced in reaching this goal? We need to see if there are ways that we can help you do, as you will with your child. Because with that child is not going anywhere. They fail today, they pass tomorrow. You have to keep on nurturing. And you learn that you have to find different ways to bring out the best in them. So for me, I've been able to do that in the workplace and transfer that skill and what is seen as, a vulnerability, and you're just a natural nurturer. I've been able to take that into the workplace and drive productivity. At this point, I think it's best we throw it open to the crowd. Thank you so much, ladies, for that insight. I'm sure we've all learned a thing or two. So I will throw it open to the crowd. If you have any questions for anybody, please.
Question for you. My name is Ore. So I'm supposed to go to law school soon, and I would like to ask you how you were able to transition from being a barrister to an actress. Like, was it easy? Was it something that just happened, or like, what was your plan, and how did you implement it?
Thank you for that question. Nothing in life is easy. I would have to, first of all, credit my father, much to his dismay, even though I quit his law firm, to follow what I felt was, what I now know was like a divine push in a certain direction. And I credit him because he really did encourage me to be a free thinker. And beyond that, to create, I'd actually started a sort of a natural hair and skincare body line. And that was because I personally had made the decision to go back to being natural, and it was very unpopular and very uncool. In fact, it was so uncool that when I was going to law school with my natural fro out, we had a lovely lady in our house that was helping caution my mumsy to say, she looks crazy, don't let her go outside like that. So whilst I was at the firm and I found I no longer had a creative outlet, which is something I'd done again all through school, all through my young adult life, even my master's degree, I was still doing musicals at Bristol. And it was something I didn't understand how important it was in my life till it was no longer there. So at the firm, I started searching for how I could reincorporate some kind of creative expression into my regular life. I was introduced to the person who became my first friend in entertainment, Ibrahim Suleiman. And I was following Ibro around to be doing dancing. My father thought I was crazy. Back from the firm, focus on trying to develop this business and have a creative outlet, because I really was not getting the all-around fulfillment I needed from just my legal practice. Even though I've always loved law, I always will, it wasn't doing what I needed it to do for me at that time. But I knew that in going to explain to my father that I was quitting, that I would have to have some kind of plan, because I was not going to go begging with my hands out, like, give me money, no. So I did that. Then,
because I see women, and I'm so happy to be part of an organization that allows me to meet, these women. But how do I get there? Because there's a drive, there's an energy, there's the ambition, but there's the mindset that limits me. So please, how do I get there? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I just say you have answered your own question? Because you were talking and you said, me getting up and doing this is just a lot for me. That is exactly what you need to do. Look, let me break your bubble. We're all winging it. That's the honest truth. Some of us just have a better way of showing it than others do. And it brings what we have been saying all through. Women have been conditioned to think they are the weaker sex. Think about it. It makes us comfortable to exhibit weakness. Men, on the other hand, have been told that no matter what they do in life, they have to be strong. So what you are saying as they have this and they have that, best believe it's not because they have it covered. It's because they've been told that they need to behave that way. Okay? So with imposter syndrome, and in my opinion, harness your strengths. Okay, always do some form of self-evaluation. You don't have phone, some people have phone. Please, what do you have that those phone people don't have? That's what you should be thinking about. You have to think inward. You have to say, I was talking earlier and I said, one of the things people consider as vulnerability is, but I joke on your strengths. And you see those strengths, you need to magnify it. So while they are speaking for me, and you already know that, okay, my own is not that much. Look, if your own strength is in making sure that every time we go out marketing, I'm the one that is always there on time, I'm the one that is making myself visible, play to your strengths while we work on those weaknesses. I don't know if anybody else, we need to wrap up. I'd like to thank Dolly, Billy Keys, Folu. It's been a very enlightening session, and thank you all so much for joining.
Please let's give our moderator, Zainab Alabi, and all our panelists a warm round of applause. We'll now like for the photographers to do their thing. We'll also like to invite the CEO of Guardian Nigeria, Toke Alex Ibru, as well as the Chief Strategy Officer Global for The Guardian, and the Guardian Woman Festival creator, Anita Ibro, to join the picture, the extra mile to actually pursue a career in aviation. And aviation, as we know, is a male-dominated industry. So when we see women who have excelled in this industry, it's always important to shine the light so that those dreams don't die there in secondary school or just remain dreams. So I'll now like to invite for our fireside chat. Please put your hands together for the chief pilot at Ibom Air, Captain Ruth Adebanwo. Woo! I can't wait for this conversation because I'm sure you would have met with a lot of stereotypes when you tell people that you're a chief pilot. I mean, I saw a video, I don't know how many of you saw it on social media, and someone introduced herself as a captain, and the men were saying, oh, what do you do as an air stewardess? And she had to correct him, like, no, I'm a captain, I'm a pilot, you know, and that's the stereotype we're talking about. Next, we have Acting Chief Operating Officer at MMA2 Ikeja by Courtney, Tosan Duncan Odukoya, who will act as the moderator for this fireside chat. So we'll have 30 minutes on the clock. We can use 20 minutes for the conversation here, and then 10 minutes for questions and answers. So we'll just cue you in with the time.
Wow, how exciting. Good morning, I think it's afternoon, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here, Captain. You just don't know how excited I am to see you here. Thank you for coming. And just a little bit of a background. So she said MMA2, some have heard of it, some haven't heard of it. You might have heard of by Courtney, you might have heard of our chairman. But MMA2 in itself is just an amazing dream come true, because for those of us or those of you who would remember back in the early 80s when the airport, because he just said, I'll build an airport. And they said, what are you talking about? He says, no, I can build an airport for you, and I'll run it. And so that began one of the pioneering dreams of a design, build, operate, transfer system. Over the past 17 years, you live in, Anambra or up the world. So I began Captain Ruth. This is listen, when I say she's the chief pilot, I'm just here to admire. So we want to, I did say, sorry, my team likes to put me in that box we were talking about so that I stick to my script. I'm not a Joe Biden. And so I will say to you, this is an industry historically dominated by men. And I like the word traditional, I like the word historical. They're in the past, okay? It's dominated by them, but the rise of women in aviation is not just a triumph for our gender equality. It is a testament to our strength, to our resilience, and our determination skills, which are inherent in every individual, regardless of gender. So for some of us, which I'd like to hang on to that little tailwind in aviation, we embody these qualities every day as we navigate through challenges, we break barriers, and we soar to new heights. So, my dear captain here is not just a pilot, along with all the other women engineers, the women executives, and the trailblazers. There are women air marshalers, there are women people who deal with the air traffic control, there are people who are the engineers underneath the wings. My God. So it's not just, oh, I'm a woman, I'm in marketing. No, 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 no. I'm talking about actually putting it out there and making it happen. So it's not just about those opportunities, it's about creating an inclusive environment where everyone can thrive. So this is the month of March. We celebrate women on International Women's Day, but we need to recommit ourselves to fostering a culture. And that's not easy in this country, in this continent, on this continent. And that's a culture of inclusiveness and empowerment in aviation. So we do strive to provide equal opportunities. But as I get to the main body of today, I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to my beloved auntie, but my matriarch as well, Madam Maiden Ebru, who is the long-standing chairman of the Guardian Media Group, and of course for her amazing, she's a daughter, but at the end of the day, she's an amazing woman in her own rights, and that's Anita Eloho, and I'm very excited to be here. But I am excited in the capacity of MMA2, because we told them that we need to promote this aspect of aviation and inclusiveness, which is the title of our theme for International Women's Day 2024. And we are honored to bring to you this platform for a captain, Captain Ruth Adebanwa. I mean, for goodness sake, it's not just like I say somebody who pilots a plane, but she's a chief pilot. You know, even as a man, you can tell me that in a little bit, because I'm going to give you 3 questions, and they're just, you know, they're ad lib, as I always try not to do, but they are. But I'll try and put that together. Captain, yes, I know we want to hear a little bit about you, but in a heart of hearts, as my the MC said, flying is just so exciting. It is something which every child, if you're not there as a child, looking at an airplane up in the sky and saying, I want to be there one day, yeah, keep your hand down. But if you know about how it's a wanderlust. So I would ask you, as my dear lady said, I don't have the phone, I can't reach out. What was it that just made your heart know? I've got my questions here. I've put it behind me. What made you know that, you know what, I'm going to fly an airplane? Can you imagine that? Even as a man, it's a daunting task. I, in my size, I'm going to fly an aeroplane. When did that begin? And I know you will use that to tell us a little bit about you. And but at the end of the day, I know it's not, I'm never downplaying the power of men. I'm a boy mama. I've got 2 of them. And so I believe in that. I used to get very angry when they said, the girl child, the girl child. I said, what about the boy child? Come on, be nice. There is equality. And sometimes we put the men down so much and the women stand up on top, and then we expect and we wonder why they, you know, they do the wrong thing. So boy mama for me. But at the end of the day, what is it that made you say, I will fly a plane? Is it something you stumbled into, or is it something you started at the age of 4? Captain Ruth, the floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in the presence of amazing and beautiful women. Thank you so much for inviting me. Well, thanks for the question. No, I didn't just, it wasn't at age 4 or age 2 like most pilots. For me, it was after my secondary school. I followed my brother. I was quite close with my elder brother, and he was going to visit someone at the airport, and I just tagged along and getting to the airport. Actually, that was my first time, yes, going to the airport or actually seeing physical airplane as well. So I went there, and then I got lost because I was so excited. And then I went to different departments and ended up with the pilots. And I started asking them questions, and right then, I made up my mind that this is what I want. Before then, I wanted to be a surgeon. I planned to be a surgeon, and all my focus was into medicine and all. But from that day, I changed everything. When I got home, I told my mom, this is what I'm going to. She was surprised. I mean, just go out and you come back and you change your mind. So she was quite surprised. And my mom is not educated at all. And my parents were divorced. And most of the people she talked to discouraged her because now she was going to take full responsibility. They discouraged her. And the reason for the discouragement was simply because I'm a girl. That was, why would you waste money on a girl? Why would you miss so much? She will end up in her husband's hand and everything will be a waste. You have your boys, you have the boys. If the boys wants to do it, it's okay. And then she started talking to people and she got this response. And then eventually she just shut everyone out and decided. She called me and asked, what do you want to do? I told her, this is it. And that was it. She suffered. She went through everything just to make sure she sent me through flying school.
Shout out to mothers.
And I didn't just start out immediately. It took me almost 7 years, actually, after that, before I finally went to flying school. I applied to several schools in the U.S., so many schools. I was denied visas many times. I became a cabin crew. I started off with a cabin crew because I was not going to let go that dream. I started off as a cabin crew, and after some years, while still doing the job, I was still pursuing this flying thing, and then eventually I got the admission, got visa to go to South Africa, and then here I am today.
Wow. I mean, that alone is a battle through. The other day I was talking about storms and I said, we hear the word, so I love that name. I don't know, is that like, I'll ask about that later. Is that where you started from? I love the name storms because they sound like they're problems, but they bring refreshing. And after the storm, there's a healing. And after the storm, you see different aspects and you watch yourself and you come back. And so if you look back and were to look at it, I mean, my darling sisters talked about late 30s and 40-somethings and 50-somethings. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, time goes by. But when you look back and you say to yourself, can you imagine where I'm coming from? But a lot of times you ask yourself, would you like to go back there and go through it again? And it's like, no, I'm through it. But at the end of the day, so there were visa denials, there were there were body shaming denials, literally. And then there was that whole, you know, you're going to waste it in your husband's house. What on earth does that mean? Has anybody told a man, when you go and you get married, it's all over? No, it's just unfair, but that's life. It's not fair. So we power on and we're resilient. And so the next aspect of my question, because my team is like glaring at me, Madam, stay to point, don't break out. But my next aspect is about that resilience, and it matches the word collaboration. So to be a chief pilot, like I said, she's not just a first officer or a captain. Started out, she had to go through the ranks. So my lady over there was talking about how do you transition from being a lawyer to being a media rep. But at the same time, she decided to keep her focus. And if it'll mean my little toe through the door as a cabin crew, which is acceptable, I will do that. Nobody complains about the male chefs, huh? Nobody complains about the hairdressers that are male. They rather celebrate them. Oh, he's a celebrity chef. He's cooking in the kitchen. Go there. I mean, what's your problem? But yeah, we'll talk about that. So now even the women-dominated, you have to struggle to get into the female chef. You know, it's a chef is for men. You just cook. You know, it's crazy. But hey, we will power on. So the resilience along with collaboration to be a chief pilot. Tell us a little bit about the fact that you're not just a captain, you're a chief pilot. So in our aviation language, we have a name for every alphabet. C, we think C is for Charlie, and P is for Papa in the whole aviation language. So she is the Charlie Papa of Ibom Air. Tell us how you got there.
Well, looking back, actually, it's not been easy right from the get-go, right from the very start. Actually, starting from flying school, I had more challenges than most of the students. As you can all see, I'm very tall. So I had to put a pillow. I had to sit on the pillow to be able to, but I said I'm going to do it. It wasn't easy. The height thing aside, I had quite a lot of challenges. There was a time I changed, I went to 2 different schools. I changed school, and in the new school, they got to a point that every single time I go to fly, we have a technical problem. And then the instructor looked at me, and one day I'm like, is something wrong with you? Why are you always having one problem or the other? I mean, it's nothing to do with me, but it just so happens on my flight. So, but at the end of the day, I believe it's just, those things happen just to make me stronger, you know, make me better. And coming back home, yes, now I have to now fly professionally. It wasn't, for me, it was quite easy, actually. It was quite easy because I got a job not too long after I got back. I had to write some exams in Nigeria, license and all, conversion. And then I got a job, and then I proceeded from one company to the other, few companies. I was happy to hear the approved because I've worked in one of their company in the past, Aero Contractors, yes. And from there, I worked in the place before then, Julius Berger, Aero Contractors, RK, and finally Ibom Air right now. And accepting women back then was not as easy as it is now, because we have a lot of women in the industry now. Back then, just very few. And I remember every time I'm flying with a new captain, you know, they're kind of worried and scared, and then they're like on the edge. Oh my God, what is he going to do? Is she going to crash? So they are like on the edge and watching. But after, and I noticed that. So what I do, I just talk to them, calm them down, and before they know, we start gesting and talk. And then after the first flight, I'm like, oh, wow. And then that's it. But I get that almost every time I fly, the first time. After the first time, that's it. So I got into it, and then, of course, passengers, when we land, they want to say hello to the pilot. And they say the female there, oh, are you a pilot? Did you actually fly the airplane? You know, I get those kind of questions. I get it all the time. So anyway, it was one of those things. So, well, over the years, and then, yes, getting to leadership role was not exactly, well, it was unexpected to me, actually. But I knew that the position is a position. First of all, let me just explain what chief pilot means. Chief pilot is just the person in charge of all the pilots in the airline. So everything to do with every single pilot, recruitment, everything about the pilots goes to the chief pilot. So the chief pilot is in charge of all the pilots. In the department, we have the flight operations department. We have a flight operations department, and the head of the department is the flight operations, the director of flight operation, followed by the chief pilots, and then you have the different other units. You have dispatchers, you have the manager, you have cabin crew, you have the manager. So that's what the chief pilot is. So there were so many people that were interested in it, and the former chief pilot was going to be made the director of flight operation, and they needed a new chief pilot. And people amongst themselves already pointed, oh, this is going to be, you know, every time they talk about it, most times I'm actually with them, we sit down and then people talk. There was never a time that they mention my name for anything. You know, they always like, oh, this. If they mention my name, oh, she's a family woman. She's all after her children and her husband. That's the only time they mention my name. But when it comes to the work and other things, no, never. So it came right from the top, and it was a shock to quite a lot of people. And I get the CEO said quite a lot of times he's actually quite happy. And he said, the first time I entered into the management meeting, he said, when they mentioned my name to all the people that were supposed to appoint, there was no single person. I think they brought my name and some others. So they said every single person picked me. So I didn't know what I did. I don't know. But one thing I do is I put my all in what I do. And women, just like somebody mentioned earlier, we have, you know, the men, this is the way they want it, they go for it, and that's it. You know, women, we have much more. You know, we have something that is inbuilt in us, the way we relate to people, the results we can get. I mean, different strategy works differently in a particular situation. The way a man will do something, and then the outcome of it, when the woman does it, because of some other extras she comes with, you know, that she puts into it, it's always different. The outcome must be different. So the man says this many times. He said, I believe, you know, seeing you, I believe that women are natural leaders. The man just kept saying that women are natural leaders. And I've been able to get support. And on the flip side also, I've been able to get people that want me out like yesterday. So every single thing I do, they have to check, look for things, look for something. Oh, she must do something wrong. There must be something, you know. They are constantly looking for me to make mistakes. But then it's not just me. I believe it's God. Because I have my watchword, which is Proverbs 3:5. Somebody mentioned that she loves Proverbs. I do. She said there are Proverbs and some for me. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. That is what I do. I put my best. Integrity is very key. And also back to the part of the question you asked in being in inclusiveness. I believe that the problem some of us have is competition. We tend to compete with men. They are there. You can't compete. Forget about that. It is now you bringing the extras you have and putting it, concentrate on what you are doing, put your all, put the extras, and whether they like it or not, you will be recognized. You will be recognized. For me, in the course of my work, starting from even the flying school, everything I do have to be a little bit more than the average man. For sure, before I'm being accepted. If I'm flying, if whatever I'm doing, I must be better. That is the only time I'll be recognized. Oh, is she there? Oh, yes, looks like she's around. All right, she's there. That is the only way. If I'm at par with the men, nobody will see me. They will see the men like 100 years before even remembering. But if I come in and I do what some of these men are having difficulty, and I do it with ease, and then, oh, okay, she's there. So for women, yes, those extras, those things that God has put in us, those are the things that we just need to bring out, and then we put it, and then whether they like it or not, whether the world likes it or not, we will, yes, we are that.
Isn't that so inspiring? Thank you. So she's explained what it came to be, a pilot, a captain. You know, you start and you build up, you do your hours and all of that, and then she's in that managerial position in charge of all of them. And I keep telling my team, I know we're at the airport. I used to work for the airlines, and we're at the airport, and I always say, in everything we do, I always say, we're not a bank, or we're not an insurance company. You know what I mean? We are life and death. Do you understand? And so this aviation, I've been in it, yeah, but I've been in aviation, but not as a pilot, which is why I admire. Every time a pilot lands, having gone through the, when they say accounting for non-accountants, we know what they do. We learn about what they do. We learn about how they fly. We learn about the skills that they have. So anytime a flight lands, I know some of us may not know the Almighty, but my God, you have been in the hands of death and you have been returned back to life. So thank you. On behalf of everyone who has been in an aeroplane and landed, it's not light work at all. Thank you, Captain. So now my sort of last question before we throw it open to everyone would be a little bit of a personal one. Like I said, flying is something which I find. An airplane and come down, I've just spoken about that. Where have your greatest fears been? Because just as my amazing panel before me permit me to really raise my hands and thank you, ladies, for everything that was said. When it comes to the fears, at the same time, when you feel that I might never get my dream come true. So I overcome it, especially in the field of, we've all established that men are, women can get up to what men can do, but we've got a little something extra, and the men don't need to have it because, everyone's on a spectrum. I hope you know that. And every man's got a woman in him and every woman's got a man in him. It just depends on what end of the spectrum you are. What has been your greatest fear? How have you overcome it? And how would you ask a woman looking up to you to have that faith, as you said, and to have that trust, as your Proverbs 3:5 says?
Fears? Maybe none. Yes. Challenges, yes. Okay. Challenges, yes. But fear. Actually went for command training twice. Command is becoming a captain. The first one was in Aero, and then I resigned shortly after I came back, and then the second one was in Arik. In Aero, when I was going for my command training, my chief pilot then called me, and she says, Ruth, make sure you play. I said, okay. He said, aren't you afraid? So I asked him, why should I be afraid? Why should I be scared? And he said, because it's not easy. So, and now I'm transitioning from being a first officer to a captain. A female, of course. So, aren't you scared? Aren't you afraid? His question. And I told him no. He said, you should be. Actually, I was shocked. Why should I be afraid? He said, what if you fail? He asked me that question outright. What if you fail? I said, well, it's not a problem. If I fail, I learn from my mistakes. She said, if you fail, you have 3 years to stay as the first officer before you go back. I said, okay, no problem. If I fail, that 3 years I've used it to shape myself to become better, and then I go again, and then I'll be better. Yes, so I said, I don't think I should be afraid. I said, if I'm scared, then I've failed already. So I don't need to be afraid. Failure, for me, is not something one should be afraid of. Failure is there. It's actually a good thing sometimes. Because if you don't fail, if you keep winning, your hidden and greatest potential is also hidden. You will never come out fully. But when you fail sometimes, then you know the kind of strength you have, and then you become better. So I told him, I said, failure is not a problem. So, sorry, I cannot tell you I'm my greatest fear. But yes, challenges. Even right now, there are challenges. There will always be. My mom told me when I was my first job as a cabin crew, even at that, for some reason, all the people in charge, they just loved me, and they said I was doing a very good job then. And above, they were ready to promote me in less than a year, and it caused a lot of, yes, and quite a lot of problems actually with all my big aunties, and that's where have been working 10 years before me. So it caused a lot of problems, and some of them in the galley is where they put the food and all this. In the galley, they just face me and look at me. Who do you think you are? They just did everything to just make me, scared and put me down. And I told my mom, I said, I'm going to leave this work. I never liked it in the first place. I'm only doing it in the interim. So I thought I was going to quit. And she told me something back then, which is what I held on to up to today. She said, if you quit because of people, you will keep doing that all your life. That was what she told me. She said, no matter what they do, she's not educated, but she's a wise woman. No matter what they do, just stand there, just keep. I'm talking to you right now. So I talked to him, tell God what my issues are, and then I ask for wisdom. And of course, I go to people that have been around before me, people that have the wisdom that I feel they can guide me. And then I ask them, people with integrity, of course, that is very key. I don't just go to anybody. I go to people with integrity, because once integrity is removed, there's nothing else.
Summed up a lot. My beautiful lady speaking about imposters. The other one I love is my son. Mommy said, Mommy, I said, how are you doing this? Because he's graduated and, he talks, and you make it if you haven't got the skill to fly a plane. Please, what did they say? Don't try this at home.
As is happening to them, aside from religion and spirituality.
Wow.
That's my question.
Thank you very much. So I took down notes of the questions.
Okay, you did. Thank you, because I did too, but let's go with yours, Isabella.
Okay, if it's the question around weakness, and then if it's too late to become a pilot
I think my banker just wants to switch tomorrow morning. I think he just wants to be a pilot, and he wants to know what it takes. Yeah, absolutely.
And then remarkable achievements, the challenges, and how long it took to become a pilot. And the last one had to do with the characteristics or qualities that young people, women, girls need to have to push through beyond spirituality and religion.
Thank you for your questions. For the lady here, yes, we have weaknesses and we have our strength. The reason we need to know our weaknesses is to turn them to become our strength. It's not to just know, oh, this is my weakness and it ends there. No, that's not good enough. One of my weaknesses, and people obviously noticed, was that I have the tendency, I can listen to people, their challenges, and I have empathy exceedingly, as in up there, that when I hear people's stories, I actually forget my own. And most times my husband keeps saying, you solve people's problem and forget that you have problem. After solving them, you come back to your own. I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? So he just couldn't wrap his head around why I'm like that. But people notice that and they use it against me, kind of. they know that once they come with a challenge, I will do everything in my power to help. And then they use it against me, the place of work, of course. So what I have done in that particular area is that our sister also mentioned setting boundaries. I set some boundaries. I know people are taking advantage of me because of this, and then I begin to set boundaries. Up to this point, things that people see as weaknesses can actually be converted to strength. Most of the time. Somebody says, oh, I do this too much. It can, okay, maybe somebody can say, I talk too much. It's around, not to just ignore it. I hope
I can come and I can send an email before I go, and I can have something to eat. And it could be coffee or moi moi. It could be amala, or it could be, something really nice. So that's for you. I don't know where they are. My head of corporate communications, I'm here with a wave at me. Hello, Joke, you're not listening. Head of corporate comms. Head of airline services, she's here too. Thank you. What are we doing and how does it go? I've got vouchers for our lounges. And it's our MMA2 moment, courtesy MMA2. Come, visit, pass through us, make us the terminal of choice, and we'll be excited. I should ask you a question. All right, let's put it this way. I'm more interested in very exotic questions. Who has never been in an aeroplane in this room before? Never. Come. There she is. Never been in an aeroplane. I am going to give you an aspiration. I'm going to give you a voucher. And that is the first time you step into MMA2, you're already in luxury. You're going to be flying wherever you're going. So you're going to aspire to fly. Even if it is to Akure, we fly. Abuja, we fly. Asaba, we fly. Anambra, we fly. Because we're domestic for now. One day we'll go regional. One day. But you will come in there. We will receive you. We'll check you in. And then from there, we'll take you up our escalators and elevators, through our security system, and to the VIP lounge. So that is something I'm giving to you. You will use it. I'm going to make it 3 months. I can extend it so that you will aspire. Don't you think that's a good idea? All right. So, Ajoke, we have it. Let's take Aditi. What's your name?
Somtochukwu.
And what do you do?
I work as a PA to the Vice Chairman, Amwodofi Local Government.
Can you imagine? You will be great one day. So that's for her. So Tochukwu, that's a special MMA2 VIP lounge voucher for you. Enjoy, and I would like to see you passing through in that aeroplane one day soon. Great. Thank you so much. One more? All right, one more. Right. What is that going to be? I've done who has never flown before. Right. Whose birthday today? Has anybody got a birthday today? Is it your birthday? We don't have any March borns. No. I'm sorry, ma'am. You didn't make it. All right. Let's try one more. Right. What can I do? What's special about flying? Let's say, what is it that's going to make you, who wants what? Let's put it that way. And what are you going to tell me? Disqualified. You work for the company. I'm sorry, I can't help. Disqualified. Who wants a VIP lounge voucher into MMA2 and why? What can you tell me about MMA2? All right, let's put it this way. Has anybody read the magazine in your hand? It's called Gate B2. All right, can you see it there? Turn the page. I'm there somewhere. But what we tried to do with that magazine is to say this is an opportunity for you to get to the gate. So we have the product called Curb to Gate. And so literally you come in through the airport and we'll pick you up at the curb and we'll get you to the gate without the wait. And so this is Gate B2. We tried to have it like a magazine that tells you all about travel and all about that. So has anybody noticed anything exciting about that? All right, I've got my story. I want to give it to a man this time. You know, it's all about International Women's Day. It's all about the girl child, but I'm a boy mama, so I want somebody born in 1996. How about that? 1996. And you're a man. What have we got? When were you born, Mr. Banker? 1990, 96. You cannot. Hell no. How? You? 96. No way. Come. 96. August 5. I said that because that's the day my son was born, not the day, the year. So he's November 9. You're born in 96? Your mama can tell me that.
Yes.
Okay. But you work for Guardian. Bye-bye. Sorry, can't help you. Should I give him? Okay. All right. He's born in 96. He's a crew. Have you traveled before? Not outside Nigeria. Yeah, we're there. You can work with us. You flew once, just once. So your second time you're flying as a VIP. And you're born in 96. And that's over to you. Thank you very much. This is from MMA 2. Because we were trained in aviation to shout louder than the aircraft so you can save, so you can save the life of somebody. When he's walking into an engine, you've got to be able to project louder to save the life of your colleague. So that's what happened to my voice. So we gave these out on International Women's Day, and I'd like to give it to 3 beautiful women. It says, here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. Happy International Women's Day. And it says, hey there, every day, remember that your voice matters, your uniqueness is valued, and your strength inspires. Happy International Women's Day. With love, by Courtney Aviation Services. I'll give it to you, my beautiful lady. That's for you. And then we had another one that says, oh, this is also every day, every day, every day. So we had 4 types, but we'll get them to you. I'd like to give them to people who have inspired. Let me give you, I love your outfit. You look amazing. And my lawyer, right, I'll give it to my lawyer. One day to become a media mogul. How about that? Thank you very much, ma'am.
So as the MC, I'll give out one, and I want to see who has been paying attention. So the question is very easy. Just list out all the airlines that Captain Ruth has worked for. Okay. 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 No, come in.
My name is Jane. She's worked with Aero, she's worked with Eric, and she's working with Ibom now.
Okay, I saw your hand up. Okay, all right then.
My name is Tutu. I will be. She started with Julius Berger, then Eric, Aero, and now Ibom here.
Please put your hands together for her. You've also now won a voucher, the luxury from MMA2 by Courtney. Woo! So as I said before, there's tea and coffee, but I want us to stretch. I want us to enjoy the expertise of the fitness enthusiast in the house and a medal holder. Like, wow, just wow. So please, let's get on our feet. I'll invite Dolly Phillips. She was one of our panelists from the first session, and she'll get us stretching. I think it's so important that we move a bit, and then this is also an opportunity for you to answer the call of nature if you do have to, or to grab coffee, grab milk, grab tea, grab water, and now hand over the microphone.
All right, everyone, can we all stand up, please? And there's space in the room, so if someone's too close to you, move them out to the sides. Okay, are we all standing? Are we all paying attention? All right. Okay. Like the beautiful lady over here, my voice is pretty loud, so I will do without the mic.
Can you all hear me? Absolutely.
Let's go. All right. So first of all, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's just bring that heart rate down. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out of the mouth. Let's do that one more time. In through the nose shoulders so we don't smack someone in the face. Yes. And let's bring it forward. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands on your hips. Let's do some big hip circles. Let's see those people that. There we go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shout out to my videographers at the back there following. Thank you. Now let's rotate those knees. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slide your hands down your thighs, all the way. Those that can reach their toes, yes. If you can't, it's okay. Just get to where you can. Now drop your head completely. Grab your elbows and just rock side to side. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release those hands. Bend your please take it easy. Bend your knees and roll back up. Nice. Now we're going to place our thumbs right on the small of our back there and press forward. Send your chest to the ceiling. Big smile on your face. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and now the opposite direction. Your head lies there. Hips push back into flat back. Good. Legs are straight here. 8, 7, 6. You should feel the back of your legs here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Left leg, heel down, toes pointing up. 1,000. Slide down and touch your toes. Make sure this is bent. If you can't touch your toes, that's fine. Anywhere along your leg you can reach, just hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently roll up. And what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Other side, lovely. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and roll up. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something you can do every time you're having a stressful day, a stressful time. You've had an argument, you're going in for a discussion, and you know your heart rate is going to go up. So we're going to practice some breathing. We're going to breathe in for 5 counts, hold our breath for 5 counts, exhale for 5 counts, and we'll take a rest. And we'll do it 3 times. Can we do that? Awesome. You can close your eyes if you want. I will, because it's very calming. Let's breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And relax. Let's do it again. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And relax. Last time, you can feel that smile coming on your face, huh? Deep breath in. Hold. Exhale. And open your eyes. Love you. One last deep breath in. And all the way down, if you can. One more. Up. And down. And we are done. Round of
Thank you very much, Dolly Phillips. I'm sure some of us will incorporate this to our daily routine, those stretches, the breathing exercises when things get a bit stressful. Again, I would like to let everyone know that there's tea and coffee. So please feel free to grab it and then join us for the next panel session. And we have one of our partners, LASRA, exhibiting outside. So if you've never registered for a LASRA card and you're a resident in the state of Lagos, you should. There are many benefits. It helps with planning. It helps with you accessing some of the offers from government, some of the initiatives. So please, when you do have chance, maybe after the Guardian Woman Festival Day 2, before you leave, you can just stop by the LASRA stand and get registered. Please let's not always complain about the government, but not use the opportunities that are literally on the tip of our fingers. Thank you again to all our panelists. I'll just allow for a few seconds so the noise can just calm down. I believe we can get our tea and coffee in an orderly manner. We have our next panel discussion. We have our panelists ready to communicate with us, to pass on value, to share their experience. If you did win one of the vouchers, you can come and meet me. I have the vouchers and I'll give you. So yes, I can see a hand there. There's also the gentleman who won and the first lady who won. So we've given out 3 vouchers courtesy of MMA2 by Courtney Aviation. Just give a few more seconds for people to get their coffee, their tea, to answer the call of nature. And use this opportunity to also post on your social media platforms. Again, the hashtag is Guardian Woman Festival. So earlier today, we had a panel that looked at the strength in femininity. We looked at how we can embrace that for success. We also had a fireside chat, which was very revealing, looking at the role women play in the aviation industry, which used to be dominated by the men. But now we're seeing more women, we're seeing mothers, we're seeing career women in aviation. Our next panel has to do with science. So we're looking at STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Now, for some of us who went to all-girls schools, it was never a question of whether a girl belonged in the science class. But a lot of times in mixed schools, girls were not encouraged actively by their teachers or guidance counselors to take up science subjects. Thankfully, things are changing now. We're seeing more girls and women in STEM. So the next panel is going to look at STEM, which I believe is very important. We're in an age of technology, the Internet of Things. So we know how important STEM is to everyday living. So the next panel will look at building futures, a holistic approach to women and girls in STEM. There are many ways to get more women and girls in STEM, and I believe that the different viewpoints that will be shared by our panelists will really move that needle forward. I'll now like to invite our panelists. For those of us on the queue, if you haven't already gotten your meals, please, your hands are still free. I'd like you to warmly applaud our panelists as I call them out. So we have the co-founder, STEM Mets Resources. Please put your hands together for Jadesola Adedeji. Woo! Next, we have the founder and executive director, Cyber Safe Foundation, Confidence Stavely. Woo! And we have the founder of Nexascale and a senior software engineer. A warm round of applause for Adora Nwodo. Woo! I thought the energy will improve now that we have our tea, our coffee, our refreshments. And to moderate this panel, would like you to applaud Lawrence Amadi, who is the partner and head tech assurance at KPMG Nigeria. Woo! So just before the panel discussion starts, we have a STEM video that will play. So please fix your eyes on the screen and enjoy the video. Again, we have about 50 minutes for the conversation, 40 minutes, I beg your pardon. So 30 or 25 minutes for the conversation and 10, 15 minutes for questions and answers.
In the tech industry, women encounter various challenges that hinder their progress. According to the NCWIT, women only make about 26% of the workforce. What this means is that women are underrepresented in technical roles because 26% isn't even up to a third of the population in the workforce. This gender gap not only limits diversity, but also makes it very difficult for women that are currently in that space to find leaders and role models for themselves. Another significant issue is the lack of support and the lack of inclusion. The Women in the Workplace study by leanin.org and McKinsey show that only 22% of women are in leadership roles in tech. This lack of representation creates barriers for women to access opportunities, resources, and the support they generally need to succeed. Work experience disparities also pose a major concern. Research from the Capo Center also states that women are typically assigned less complex tasks and are not recognized for the work that they do generally at the office. This typically would impact their skills development and their overall professional growth. Nexascale has put in different initiatives to tackle the work experience problem that women face. First of all, we have the Future STEM Stars program, where we go to different secondary schools across the country to talk to young girls about STEM careers. The goal is to get them interested in STEM really early, connect them to mentorship so that they can grow into taking these careers on. But we know that this is a more long-term project, because if we're talking about fixing the gender disparity gap today, we can't be targeting girls in secondary school when they probably wouldn't get into the workforce until like 7 years from now. As a result, we have other programs that we use to help the women that are currently trying to get into tech or are into tech and are trying to find ways to succeed. Nexascale also has an incredible internal women's community within the broader Nexascale community. And one of the fantastic initiatives that the Nexascale women community has is called Teach Us Women. The Teach Us Women initiates community. There are other things that we do for Nexascale women as well. We're very intentional about empowering the women in our Nexascale women community by connecting them to simulated work experience opportunities. And we make sure that we have different apprenticeship programs for women catered specifically to the women in our community. We're partnering with organizations that also share the broader goals that we have to empowering women, and we're giving these women opportunities to have simulated work experiences, because we're aware that you need a job to gain experience, but you also need experience to gain a job. And if we're going to solve the work experience problem, we're going to find a way to make it easy for women to come into the workforce. And that is what we're doing by connecting women to these apprenticeship programs that give them work experience and make them ready for what is to come in the workforce, essentially. With our Future STEM Stars program and everything we do within the Nexascale women community, our goal is to have at least empowered 25,000 women across Nigeria with simulated tech experience or even full-time work experience by 2030. And the truth is we can't do this alone. We have a bunch of all these initiatives that we do. We are a non-profit, but we also need more people in more positions of power, more people that have access to more resources to also do these same things. If you can go to different schools to inspire girls, go ahead and do that. If you can pick up some women, train them and connect them to job opportunities or connect them to opportunities that help them earn and build their digital skills, do that for them as well. We need to continuously create these things, and the goal is that the more people we train, the more empowered we make people. It creates some kind of domino effect, and they go for that to also pay it forward and make more people, feel the impact. So there will be a direct impact, but there will also be some kind of indirect impact, through the people that have benefited before. There are many ways that you can sort of come into this and help women grow. You can do it, through supporting us. So supporting any other non-profits that cares about solving these issues for women. We're not solving the technical training issue, we're explicitly solving the work experience issue for women. Or you can go ahead and by yourself do something about the current situation. But with all the statistics that I have shared today, I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and I'm excited about this month. I'm excited that this conversation is even happening. I'm excited that this event is even happening, and we are celebrating women and thinking and talking about ways to inspire and empower women more. I hope we do more. I hope that with all the little things that different people do, we actually create that space, and gradually we get to a point where we fix that gender disparity for women, not just only in tech, but in different areas of the workforce. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Adora Nwodo, and I am the founder of Next at Scale.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I understand Adora will be joining us virtually. Do we know if she's connected? Okay. All right, so let's get started. So we've seen the video from Adora, and she's supposed to be one of our panelists. But I have Jadesola, and I have Confidence. And these are powerful women who have excelled through science and tech. I see a few of us are still standing. We would love for you to be seated. We're going to be here for a very short time, maximum 30 minutes, and we should be done. So please do endeavor to be seated so you don't miss out a vital info for a niece or for a sister, for a cousin. Let's go. How many women do you think we have compared to men in the world today? More women. Captain says more. 49.5. Okay. Some argue 50.4. At least 4 billion out of the 7 billion plus people. Okay. Fantastic. So that tells you something. The CEO magazine recently did publish something about the number of women CEOs that have finally outnumbered men named John. And that happened in 2013. Sorry, 2023. If you go to Harvard and if you go to MIT, the number of women to men today is about 50-50. Today. Some 5 years ago or longer, it wasn't the case. Kudos. Very happy to say the number of women in the firm today is about 51%. We are 1,500 plus people. I know for some of us who would have seen a few men in the room, every man in this room is pro the girl child also being equal to the men. So please, kudos and well done. Jadesola.
We had heard, I think there's women and girls, and I think even apart from cultural imposition, I think even from a parent's perspective, in the family dynamics. I like to think that that's changing, but probably not fast enough. You know, you're a girl, this is how you're supposed to be, you're a boy. I think the previous panelist was talking about it, and I own it. I said, you know, I was saying to someone the other day, all this trying to be a girly girl is really an effort. Deep down inside, that's not really me. And I think it's really that, I think it starts from the home, to be honest. And as one or two other people said, when I was growing up, I didn't think that being a girl was an issue. My dad didn't, you know, we're 3 girls and only 1 boy. There wasn't really an issue. I played soccer, I went to the tennis, I put ribbons in my hair. You know, I was just a person, you know, so I never had that blockage. But I know that's not the norm for a lot of people. So I think mindset, I think societal expectations, and I think also that can-do attitude and being inspired and encouraged. And also, I think maybe not having enough visible role models. You know, I know for us, in our company, I think we're probably 90% females in terms of our facilitators going out there. And I think we're very intentional about that. I would say when I started the company, I was comfortable with people thinking that STEM Met was run by a man. And I would get emails, dear Mr. Adidija, and I would never correct them. You know, because for me, I felt, as somebody said, let our work speak for us. Let the excellence speak, let the results speak for themselves. But then I noticed that I was doing my gender a disservice, and particularly a lot of all those young girls who had a mindset of what a scientist looks like or what someone in tech looks like. And even funnily, yesterday I met someone at an event, and we were talking, networking, oh, what do you do, blah, blah. And I said, what do you do? And I said, oh, I run an education company. And I said, oh, which one, STEM? Oh, my God, you don't even look like... Well, I didn't know you were a female. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then, I've never heard this before. You don't look like I thought you would look like. I was like, really? What do you mean? I thought you would be dark. I thought you'd be... So that was a new level of... I'd never even experienced that. I'm used to the woman. I'm used to that. But, you know, and so for me, it's important in terms of what you project. So when we go to schools, particularly girls' schools, I tell them you don't have to be a geek to be a scientist. I say, you know, you can dress up, you can be funky, you can be... Because I think that's important as well, because they think scientists are not cool. You know, you're geeky, you're quirky, you don't do your hair, you're not fashionable, or society's expectation of what a female should look like, let alone a female in STEM or technology or engineering. So I think there's a lot of that, and I think people like Confidence and I and all the other people in the STEM and tech world, I think we owe it to our females to step up and step out of talking about shameless exhibitionism, but, you know, be meaningful in your visibility.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I know because we're in the gig era, a lot of people have left sciences and tech to just go start, creating content and, looking for the easy way out, maybe Tao and the names, the ladies are doing content would inspire those guys a lot more. But Confidence, how do we dismantle the barriers that Jadesola has talked about now? Because it looks like there's something from home that molds this issue for our girls.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to share from a personal perspective. My name is Confidence Davely, but online I'm known as Sissy Nerd. Now that's very intentional. Yes, because the nerds are not seen to do nice frontals, wear nice dresses, all of those things. That's not the way I grew up knowing someone to be in tech, to look like. By the way, I didn't have anyone to see that was in tech that I could aspire to. And I saw a particular stat by PwC. They ran this study and they asked young women to name a famous female working in tech. And from the study, 78% of them could not name one famous female working in tech. So I took the stat like every other stat and I wanted to just experiment with it. This month, I went to a school in Lagos and I asked them to name one famous male working in tech. Half of the room had their hands up and they were throwing out names. They threw out Jeff Bezos. They threw up all of those names. And after that, I asked them, name me one famous female working in tech that is not Confidence Davely standing in front of you. The room went silent. That video is on my Instagram, so you can check it out for yourself. Only one person finally mentioned a name, and she's the ex-CEO of YouTube. I'm sure a lot of you didn't know that it was a woman. Do you all know that even the underlying technology behind us having possibly Adora join us via Zoom is created by a woman? Do you know, for example, that a woman created the dishwasher that we use today? There's so much underlying that women create. But you see, the power of role models is lacking in inspiring the girls that we need to get into the workforce. That's one problem. By the way, I also run Africa's biggest cybersecurity training and mentorship program for women looking to go into cybersecurity. I've spent so many years working in the field, and I'm, helping more women to come in. Because in the African continent, although women make up 50% of our population, only 1 in every 10 cybersecurity professionals we find is a woman. So when Adora shared the 28% stat, I smiled, because in Africa and across the world, first and foremost, women only make up 25% of the cybersecurity workforce. But if you come down to our continent, we are less than 10%. And that's abysmal, to say the least. But then, we need to do something else, and I'm going to something. I've touched on the problem of representation. The next problem now is what? Access. Different kinds of access. Access to the learning tools. Now, I've worked around the place, and it's interesting. My work is across Africa. But we started off in Nigeria with the trainings. And I cannot count how many times girls have told me that their brothers were passed over them when push came to shove for their education. I'm not talking about digital education first. Just that first layer. So they are all stacked against women for even access to education. Access to the tools. There's a girl in Enugu who their parents could not buy 2 laptops. And so they bought one, and it was the brother's laptop. Now, this is access to tools. And we have, what I'm sharing with you is I can name so many, right? It's not an exception. So access to the learning tools. Access to every kind of access you can think about. And let's not even go into time poverty. That girl wakes up in the morning. She goes to fetch firewood to cook. She goes to, again, climate change is, women are worse hit by it, right? She goes and she fetches water. But what does the boy do when he wakes up? He gets dressed. He eats the food the sister cooked. And he goes. Do 2 of them arrive their learning centers the same way? No. So now all those sort of access are the issues. Now the last one I want to touch on, because I use an acronym called BAR when I talk about these issues. So it's belief, access, representation. Now with belief, if I do not believe that, as a woman I can aspire to be here, I can thrive. I mean, I have won so many awards, and generally I describe myself as the most celebrated cybersecurity leader out of the African continent. And the awards have been across the world, right? But then, with all of those things, it took me having to tell myself that I can do this. And I was lucky to have a father like Dade Sholas. And please, I want to just have us put our hands together for all of the allies we have in the room, because you couldn't tell me nothing. My father made me feel I could walk on heads whenever I want to. I could do anything I wanted to do. And that disparity wasn't there until I started hearing certain things. I'll share again another personal story. I had won this award and I came home and my father said to me, I was 7. He said, "In you, I have 10 sons." I had no clue what he meant. But when my parents were at the point of investing in me, learning computer skills, I overheard one of his friends, say, "Why? She's going to take up another person's name in the future. Why are you spending all that kind of money?" So when someone said here, I was like, that's my story. And so women first do not believe that they have what it takes to thrive. And let me tell you, it's not exactly only a woman's problem in terms of imposter syndrome, but women are worse hit. And so what have we done through the Cyber Girls program we've been able to do? Aside this training program that we're able to do, we have been profiled by the World Bank as a program to scale. We're currently in a study with the World Economic Forum and all of that success that we've recorded. But what we've been able to hack, that is not just the training, is the belief system. Hacking that is the hardest part. We've been able to get a girl who was serving tables at a pizza restaurant in South Africa to work in the cybersecurity team at a company listed on the stock exchange. All of those in less than a year. The only reason we're able to achieve all of that is we created belief systems that boost that, a community that's able to boost that, right? We have a mantra where they're able to tell themselves what they really are. Enough share quite I'm going to drop the mic, right? But that belief system is something that we need to break. A lot of women, even when they know a lot to apply for jobs. We see it very badly in cybersecurity, that they want to get 80% of those qualifications. Men will have 30% and they're applying to a role at my firm. I'm like, you don't have a lot of the things I want. The women who have 60, 70, oh, I need to have 90% of this, right? So that belief that it can be here, they can not just thrive, but be like, you know, her big sister who has just shared about her work, you know, in the aviation sector. That I can come in and I can do more. I can dominate the space is something we need to hack. But it will not happen all of a sudden. It's a journey. We need to start young, and that's why I is doing here, and connect them right into the workforce. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Confidence. I think you took on question 2, 3, 4, and 5 in responding to that question. But again, I think we came prepared. So Jadesola does have a few things to speak to. Jadesola, how important is mentorship and role models, you know, in supporting and...
Really aspire to something that you don't know, right? And the importance of people like us being as visible as we can. And also being deliberate through some of the programs. We run after-school clubs, we run holiday camps, but it's really being deliberate. And in fact, Bilkis, who isn't here, her daughter came to one of our every program that we had, but then we brought in female engineers, female computer scientists, female people who are working in different aspects of STEM to speak to them. And these were, I don't know, 8-year-old, 10-year-old girls at the time, so that they can see that this engineering thing or this technology thing is really attainable, and they can see other females, you know, doing it. And then I think secondly, even creating, one of the things that Dora said was even creating work experience opportunities in departments, and we take interns to come for girls or for females in general. So I think, you know, in summary...
you know, I couldn't get over the fact that she wasn't even worried about failing. You know, someone says, oh, what happens if you fail? But she looked and she said, you know, there's nothing wrong with failing forward. You know, so I was writing, Captain, when you spoke. I took notes as a diligent student. And I guess Confidence, the next question, how would you encourage that resilience and the emotional intelligence that goes with the resilience to succeed? Because we know women and girls are sometimes a bit more emotionally wired than men. But how would you recommend that they channel this to succeed instead?
I really, really like Captain Ruth's story, because it really just points to some of the things I believe in, which is that we should lean to our strengths. And it reminds me of someone I was trying to talk her into letting me do tech as against going to study medicine that she had sold to me for so long until I thought it was my dream, right? And I know, right? And she said, she used to say, you cannot outperform a passionate person. And literally, so I will first and foremost say, in the race to, you know, thriving, doing excellently in tech, or in any other STEM area, I would say the focus first should be on exploring, opening up your minds, being exposed. Like I was accidentally exposed to tech in the first place that changed the trajectory of my life. Just that exposure, and then finding something that just makes the spark in your eyes, come out, something that you love. And that way, you would do it with every bit of your fiber. And that whole emotional thing that women have is a strength, because it depends on that perspective you look at it from. It's the reason why we're able to connect with people deeply. We're able to influence people deeply. And trust me, my work as a cybersecurity professional, just the fact that I'm able to lead with empathy means that even when other teams don't want to work with my team, when I'm in charge, they're like, we somehow get a way for them to collaborate with us, right? So there's that part of passion and helps you grow, right? Because if you're in a space where another woman is able to do this, another woman is able to do that, you're then able to find relatable ways that you can also hack your own situations, right? You can find an older woman, for example, speaking about mentorship, who has gone ahead of you. How did I get it done? You're able to apply it. And I'll go back again to my visit to that secondary school. While I was leaving, a girl that cannot be up to 18 years old, came up to me and asked me, oh, I can see you're married. And I said, yes, I've been married for a couple of years. And she said, but I heard that when you're married, your career takes a hit. My heart sunk. My career took a leap. That's why a lot of people don't know my maiden name, right? Because that was what happened for me. And so I shared some of the things that have worked for me. But for me as well, I just believe that if that question was asked to someone who had not gone ahead of her, who wasn't like her, who she couldn't see herself in, may not have been able to give her as actionable, some actionable tips around that. So resilience could be trained. Resilience could come from shared experiences. And that's where I also believe that being immersed in those communities really does help. And so resilience is a thing also that women go through on a normal, even wearing your heels. Come on, you wear them and you carry, but if a man wore those shoes, you're like, how are you surviving? So we have those things. It's just finding expression, channeling it, and that will come from all other mechanisms as mentioned above, which is immersion in communities, aside, of course, spirituality. There's also making sure that what you're being resilient, you actually love it. So when the challenges come, you see them.
It just means we've got to find the right question. I probably want both of you to win. I also looked at the CEO Magazine's survey. Norway had the highest number of female CEOs or executives.
Status. So it's not just the big man in his big car. I think even, from staff, I've had a driver who told me before, do you want me to take you to a gas office so you can collect money for petrol? So, and I was like, okay, what gave you the impression that I couldn't, And then any small thing is that I have somebody like you at home now, So when I say that those barriers that need to be broken from a societal and cultural one, it really is God that will help us. And I think it's for us females to also, as Pilot Ruth said, be assertive. You don't have to be rude about it, but when it's required for you to really step up and step out. And as we said, we have those skills of emotional intelligence that there's a way you can do it, without having to raise your voice or feeling that you have a chip on your shoulder and that you have to prove something to this man who is disrespectful. I think we can do it stylishly. I think we can do it with emotional intelligence. And I think we have to continue with resilience as well and not giving up and saying that there's no point. Also, lastly, in how we raise our girls, I know a lot of men actually have been saying, all this girl power and all this girl child, the boys are falling behind. And I'm like, yeah, what are you fathers doing? I'm sorry. What are you fathers doing that, yes, the girls historically, and we definitely are not at parity, have been left behind. So you will find a lot of programs encouraging girls, but that you fathers also, make sure that balance is maintained. So, those are my 2 cents. But I think it has to continue. I think there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think, that cultural shift with, programs like this, and not just in March, for goodness sake, and not just let's do one funky event and we all come, we eat, and then the rest of the 11 months, we don't hear anything. So let's be consistent in this, in this battle. I don't want to call it a war, but in this battle to ensure that, we are keeping that conversation visible.
Thank you so much. So confidence, I will change that slightly to say, what role should organizations play? Because I've heard a lot of, and shout out to the fathers that have done the great work of encouraging their daughters and their children. What role should organizations play?
I would just really speak to some of the key points you mentioned. DEI has become hip. It's something that you just check the box and a feel-good thing, right? And we see the data. It makes business sense to get women in every single sphere, right? But we still see a lot of lip service being paid. And so what I want to first say is organizations should prioritize getting women into places of leadership, to be able to make the right policies that support women to actually bloom in the workplace. I will share again some stats because I love data, right? Only 5% of leadership roles from one of the studies I looked at is occupied by women. Now, you will not be able to, for example, take care of core issues around attracting and retaining women. And I'm going to really double down on retaining, because we are doing a good job at attracting women now, but how do we keep them in the workforce? You cannot say that organizations can keep women in the workforce without taking care of the elephant in the room, care. How many of our workplaces have care programs, that support women through the phases of life, that we pride ourselves as countries that, value family? And so if we have to pay the price for our increase as a people, if we have to pay the price because we chose to also be mothers, what are we saying? So we can't retain women if we attract them and we'll keep falling behind. So care is one thing, getting women into leadership roles to make the policies that are sensitive to the unique needs of women, right? I mean, I had a particularly challenging pregnancy. I don't want to go into that, but I had a female boss, and she was able to understand. In that time, with those challenges, because of those policies, I was able to outperform myself before that pregnancy, right? Please put your hands together for me. I was only able to do that because a woman stood there for me. I was able to put in the things in place to support me in that trying time of my life, and that's the reason I didn't fall off the radar, right? So I'm saying that to say there needs to be women in leadership, and we need to be intentional about finding them. Sometimes it's the needle in a haystack we need to find and acknowledge, because we are more used to, as women, not really acknowledging the strengths we bring in terms of our competence levels, right? We may do something we're good, but we're not even trying to be visible within the organization. So it takes a level of intentionality, not just in putting us on panels and making sure that at least when there are 3 men in the panel, there is 1 woman. No, it's in making sure that in those times when calls are made around leadership, that you look for that competent woman. We don't want to get into places of leadership because we are women. No, we want to get in because we are the best for the jobs. But sometimes it may need you putting your head down to find us. So really being intentional about getting these women in the leadership spaces, I think will play a very, very major role. I've forgotten your that talking point, but yeah.
So that's our time. I don't know if we have any remarks before we bring this panel session to a close.
Maybe one question, if there is, just one. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Please, your name and the question. Please keep it very brief.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tombra Sorobo. I'm a broadcast journalist. So I like the fact that she talks about leadership, empowering women into leadership positions. But then again, because it was the same conversation I had last week on the show on International Women's Day. So majority of the callers did mention something which is absolutely true. Because it seems we're in a time where we have more women hating on women than more women supporting women. And then you talked about your boss having,
Question, sorry.
Okay,
yes,
I'm sorry.
So that we can take another question.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry. So my question is, on this area, on this aspect, how do we sensitize women, or how do we create the awareness for women to support women? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's take another question. Okay. Let me take from the gentleman.
Good afternoon. My name is Tunde. The question that was asked the other time regarding the bias, gender, I wanted to ask, because I tried to find a space to ask the question yesterday, but there was no room for that. So, have we thought about how in primary and secondary school we have head boy and head girl? So, why do we have that when we can only have one governor? We can only have one president. So if in primary school and secondary school, we have a brilliant young lady that is overall best student for that session, for that year, why can't we have just head girl and not a head boy, because there must be a boy that has to be the head? So if we're working on how to make this balance, I think we need to start from the root.
Very interesting question. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, let me just stick to 2 questions because we have the panelists for the next session around. So over to you.
So for Tombra's question, Jadesola, please. So,
women supporting women. I think that's a great question, actually. I think we were very lucky to have a great female boss. In my almost 20 years experience in the pharmaceutical industry, my worst boss was a female. I mean, she made my life. And I think it goes to, I can't remember who said it. I'm not sure if it was pilot. Is it Captain or Captain Ruth that said, women need to stop trying to be like men. Somebody said it. And I think half the time, some of those women are insecure that I don't want to make it as if I'm favoring the female. I don't want to make it as if, I'm being soft. And I think us women just need to be kinder to each other. You've walked the walk. You're in a position of leadership. I think really, we need to be kind generally. But I think having experienced what it took you to get there, I think we really need to be kinder. And we really, you don't have anything to prove or feel that, oh, well, if it was a man, I have to show that, I'm not biased or whatever. Be biased, lend her the helping hand, give her that advice that she needs. And give her that support that she needs. Honestly, I think that's really the only thing I have to say to that. There's no other response, truly.
No sugarcoating it. Just, as it is, help when you can. To Tunde's point, confidence, he says, if you have the girl being the best overall academically, why not just have one head girl, one governor, one president, one head girl? What do you think?
Well, I would lean, in maybe a slightly different direction. And I would say that representation matters for just about everyone as well. Yes. So that's where I'll come from, right? If we need to see a boy leader, a female leader, we need to see a boy leader as well. But again, we also see that in our schools, very clearly, especially just before they get into university, girls are outperforming boys. It's the truth. If you go to even like award ceremonies in schools, they are calling a girl over and over again. What we should ask ourselves is what happens after she's left? What hit her? That's what we need to fix. And if we're able to keep her at that point of excellence where she continues to shine, I think that we'll all be fine. So we should make sure we close that gap between secondary school and university. Something happens there. I don't know what it is. Even with the choices, I would say it starts happening from like SS1. And I think it also is tied to when women become more aware of their femininity. It starts from there. So if we're able to strengthen her in that time, we will definitely see that the question I asked those girls in those schools would be something that people would throw up their hands with so much joy to answer, because femininity stops becoming a barrier but becomes a form of strength, like I have just mentioned here, right? So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much.
So we can't close without, I think Anita's got her hands up for a while.
You say it's women's issues, I think that's a big mistake, because it's not women's issues, workplace, education, empowerment. These are human issues, and when you say it's women's issues, it's like, oh, it's just for women, and that might scare the men away. So I sort of thought perhaps a word or coining a term like women relations, and that refers to what you were saying about, empathy, your experience with your pregnancy, or whatever issues, having people who can relate to women. And this is like something I want to try and push, because I think it will just make it less sort of the battle of the sexes. That's not what it's about. It's about how women relate to women, how men relate to women. So that's just an idea. So I really want your help with that. And I really loved the things you said. So please keep in touch. And it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for being on the panel.
Thank you so much. I think with that, we have come to the end of our STEM session. Thank you so much for being a good audience.
Thank you very much for the insightful conversation. We'd like to invite Toke Alex Ibru is here around, and Anita Ibru to also join for the group picture. Right after the group picture, we'll have an advert play, and then we'll have our final session for today. A big thank you to all our invited guests, our speakers, our panelists, who have all come very early, waiting. Thank you so much for being here on time, and thank you in advance for all the knowledge you'll share with us free of charge. We don't take it for granted. Again, I see our phonographers also taking pictures and videos. Please share them using the hashtag Guardian Woman Festival. Share across your different social media platforms. Let's continue this conversation online. So now we'll have the video play, and we encourage everyone to just put their phones aside and fix their eyes on the screen. Accountant, engineer, and maybe if you're from the academic background, they'll say, okay, maybe a teacher, a lecturer, or professor. But now we have people who say they want to be content creators, they want to be social media managers, they want to be actors, actresses, they want to work behind the camera. And thankfully, the parents of today are seeing reason why they should support those professions, because we've had people who have made a name for themselves in that career. So I'm going to invite our panelists for the Women Revolutionizing the Creative Landscape, Transforming the Sector's Economy. There's something about money, and everyone says follow the money. There is money in the creative economy. So when someone is setting ring lights and doing a challenge on TikTok, Trust me, it's not for free. They are getting some USD in return. And who better to tell us about this economy than people who are currently practicing in this industry. Join me in welcoming, there's so many ways I can describe her. For those of you who grew up in the 90s, you've seen her as a vocalist, you've seen her as a dancer, now you see her as a TV personality, an actress. She's a multi-talented, creative entrepreneur, and I can't wait to hear all she has to share. Join me in welcoming Dakore Egbuson Akonde. And I dare say a mom of 2 beautiful girls, yes. So you can have that career, and yes, you can also balance motherhood. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We also have the Chief Operating Officer at Flytime Promotions, also the CEO of Road 14 Studios, in the person of Keke Hammond, joining us. Woo! You know, when it comes to December, it's never really the same. Yes, that dirty December. Hey, concerts back to back, entertainment experiences. And, you know, a lot of times people will see that name, and I'm sure you've gotten that you're not a woman. They'll just assume that maybe it's a man behind that, because a lot of times people just think, oh, entertainment is just the singers, but there are people working behind the scenes. And to moderate this panel discussion is also a woman in the space who I've had the opportunity of meeting. She's worked with brands, she's delivered world-class experiences. Join me in welcoming the CEO of Q21 Solutions, Eunice Adeyemi, looking fly, looking beautiful. I can't wait for all the wisdom, the information, the knowledge, and the experiences that will be shared from this panel. So again, we'll have 40 minutes on the clock, 30 minutes or so, or 25 minutes for the conversation, and so we can take more questions this time. I'll say if you can dedicate 10 to 15 minutes, because I know your fans are here, and they'll probably have a question or two.
All right. So welcome, guys. They saved the best to last. Honestly, right? They really saved the best to last. Because you know what always ends up happening at the end? People are really tired and everything else. But don't worry, we've brought the ginger. So we're good. We're good. We're good. So my name's Eunice Adeyemi. I am the CEO of Q21 Solutions. So if you've ever seen anything for Jameson, so did you see that Jameson container that was on the road? That's us, right? So we do all those creative things. If you saw the Martel that was in the roundabout at first, inside Lekki, that was us. So we create all these unique experiences. We've run AMVCA, or we've actually been the event management company for AMVCA for the last 9 editions. But you really cannot think of December and not think of Flytime. So you guys are doing an awesome job, absolutely awesome job. So I'm super honored to be on this panel and box us into these boxes.
I mean, first of all, and then I would say actually in the creative industry, we have more collaboration between women. For me, my first foray industry was via a woman, actually. So I had that. I was really I'm grateful for that now when I think back, because it made me see what was possible. And then my parents also indulged me. I went to Corona, you know, so I had all the recorder lessons, ballet lessons, all of this stuff. And I guess they thought at that point that, oh, it's just for fun, something she loves. Not knowing that, oh, that was my career. That was I was showing them that this is who I am. But of course, at that time, it wasn't popular. Everyone wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer, you know, that was said earlier. So I told my dad I'm going to be a pediatrician because I loved kids and I did well in off. I can't deal. Yes, this is a real story, my story. You're going to have to take care of yourself from now and this and that. And I did. But you know what? It made me more serious. It made me more focused. I had a point to prove. I don't say it a lot. I mean, now my dad, of course, thinks very differently because it turned out right. Thank God we brought the money in, we brought the prestige, we brought the respect and all of this stuff. But I had to be intentional about how I was going to turn out. because there's an expectation, a stigma. If you're an actress, I actually hate the word actress. I prefer to be called actor. Because when you have a doctor, say doctress, who you are. So, yeah, we'll have to change that. But yeah, so I realized then that, women were the way for me into the industry. And
what I would say with that is because we're women, we have the ability to read a room and to read, the heart of the person that you are engaging with. So when you come into a partnership and there are certain feelings that you have, because you're a woman, because you have empathy, you can decide, okay, this doesn't work for us. And you can also honestly tell them how you feel. Unlike men sometimes who prefer not to show and not to express, the truth behind why they're not going with these partnerships. So I'm all up for partnerships, and we work together at Flytime.
So I love the factor that both of you guys talk about, yes, there's collaboration within your spaces. And it does work, right? And I know that it is there. But the truth is that there are still those areas that are very dark and gray. And so for those who are trying to come into the space, I like to paint the roses. I agree. Let's be real. Yes. And let's talk about the truth of the ones that, there's the backbiting and there is the snide comments. So please, let's talk about that. I like the rose that you guys have painted. It's not a problem. But the truth is they want to, because they need to learn how did you handle it? So when you now had somebody take, for instance, your client, and lo and behold, that's my own. So somebody takes a client. Mine is mine and nobody can take mine. That is very true. But it still hurt. And I knew what to do differently. So I now know that I have strict guidelines in terms of how I expose my clients to certain individuals, right? There are contracts that are put in place. So what did you guys do in your individual spaces when it did happen that we didn't have that collaborative spirit?
Well, I think in general that happens anywhere, right? So I don't think it has to do with being male or female. Where 4 or 5 other people, and perhaps maybe 3 of them are women. It just happens to be that in that space, those are the 4 or 5 people who can do it. So we don't necessarily look at it as, okay, we're at war because we're women. No, we're looking at it as a corporation who can do it better. And
All right. My take is quite similar to Keke in the sense of, you have to come with a spirit of excellence and make yourself an asset. But there have been times where I've personally experienced where I was taken for granted. I was exploited. I was taken advantage of. I know she's giving me this look like, what? Yes. Trust and believe. The entertainment industry is very exploitative. Generally, especially if you're a creative. People always want to take you for granted. They want to take you for cheap. They always want to, not pay you when they should pay you, owe you money. I have some films that I have not gotten paid, When I started out in my career, we're talking 96, 97, some films, you do the film and it doesn't see the light of day. The sweat, the blood, the tears, everything you've put into it does not come out. It happens. But what do? You keep going. There are many times where I could have said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And there was a time that I didn't. For 5 years when I got married and I started having my children, I didn't work. And those were important years because I wanted to be home and actually raise my kids and all of that. But coming back into the industry too was also challenging because they're like, oh my God, and then when I just got married, it's over, she's not coming back. Somebody mentioned that about marriage. She can't work again, her husband will take care of her, maybe she married some rich people, whatever. People were just talking and I was shocked. I was like, what? When did we have this conversation? I'm still gonna do what I'm gonna do, but I have to do it in my own way and in my own time, and I believed in myself, and I came, and then I honed the skills. Like I went to study acting again in Chicago. I did what I had to do so that when I came back, I came with fire and ready, So I think you mentioned about when certain things happen, you have to learn from them. Because the universe is very funny. When something happens to you and you don't learn the lesson, it's going to happen again. And it's going to keep on happening until you get it. So for me, when I saw that it happened, and I've fallen out with a few people, you know, some women, some men, doesn't matter, where I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me anymore. I know my worth. I know my value. And, you know, but I don't have to be cocky about it. I can still be humble, because that's something that is very dear to me. Growing up as a Christian girl, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you high. So I don't have to be rude. I don't have to walk around with a chip on my shoulder, but I know who I am and whose I am. So I think that's very important, knowing yourself, knowing who you are, learning the lessons, because it will happen. Especially like I said earlier, it is an exploitative industry. So now I had to get management, I had to get my structure together, and that's something that I feel we really need to hone in on in Nigeria. We don't have proper structure. We don't even have structure. Let's just be real. We don't have structure. So in the creative space, STEM, there's structure. Education, there's structure. Oil and gas, there's structure. There are ways that things are done. But in the entertainment industry, it's a free-for-all, you know, and you find your way. So if a young girl, because I get many young girls coming up to me, how do I start in the industry? I'm like, man, how do I tell you? Like, how do I even, you know, because there's nothing, there's no place. Like, back then it was Winnie's, National Theatre. I never really went to those places. And again, another thing is, make sure what you're doing is your destiny. Make sure it's what you love. Make sure it's something that even if you didn't make money from, you would still do it. Because that's where you get that strength to take you through those times where it doesn't work and it's not, you know, what you need it to be. So I feel like that's something where we're talking about barriers of entry. It is quite porous in a way that you can come in and you can make your name and you can, but you have to have a lot of resilience and a lot of belief in yourself.
Yes. All right. So ladies, I'm going to ask this just because of my STEM sisters that are here. Very important. How are you leveraging technology and digital innovation in the creative space? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because so that people don't think that being, that STEM is just limited to the sciences alone, right? Like I said, I'm a graduate of computer science and I'm doing experiential marketing, right? So talk about how are you leveraging technology and innovation in your own individual spaces?
Okay, so I will start off by talking about the concert music space. When we talk about ticketing, right, we have a major issue in Africa. Trying to clone the pages so that they can buy tickets. She's there blocking, and it's incredible. We have talented people in our environment. She's a typical Nigerian young girl. There is not, she has humble beginnings, yet she has made a name for herself. And she's also trying to inspire and do programs for young girls just like her. And when she was growing up, her parents didn't actually really understand her and her brain and how it worked, which is why they just sent her to China. You will flourish there. And when she got there, it was actually very difficult because the kids, the language, but the kids were so advanced. They thought when she was there, she struggled a bit. However, being there, made her this incredible person that she is. And as women as well, because I look at her as a younger sister, and it's important to me that all of the people in our team don't disregard her because she's 20, she's young. And that's where working together and understanding some of the issues and the backstories that we all have to lift her up so that she's able to shine and thrive in the position, in the role that she has in our company. So yes, that's how we use technology. It's important. You can't say that you wouldn't. It's impossible. How do you thrive in this environment without AI, without a product engineer, without an event technologist? In everything that we do, even the boards, the screens, every single thing. Often the sound, everything is changed on a yearly basis, and you have to be on top of it, and that's where technology comes in.
And I'm really glad you mentioned it because I know that she's there. And I wanted you to talk about her because I think it's really important. We don't realize how many women are behind the scenes, right? I posted something from Ford's. Ford's did an ad for Women's Day, and they listed all the things that would be in a man-only car. And there were so many things, GPS to windshield wipers, were created by women. And there's so much that we don't know that women actually invented. So to have this young lady behind the scenes, we need to talk about her more. My STEM sisters, you need to bring her. This is what I do for a living, bring people together. So yes, please, right? So those are the types of conversations that are really good. So now in your space, darling.
In my space, I mean, when we started, there was no internet, there was no social media, but now we're leveraging that more and more, like our personal pages, social media. I would say social media because that's where you can showcase your work, you can talk about the things that you're passionate about. I'm also a multiple brand ambassador, so it's been great to be able to, post about what, the brands I work with, what they're doing. So, I mean, technology has been amazing because we've actually been able to take our careers into our own hands, where people can, where before if you give an interview and then they, do a hack job of it, your English is all over the place. You'll be like, did I give this interview or what happened? Was I asleep? But, you can actually take charge of your own narrative. You can actually let people know what you're interested in and project yourself positively or negatively if you prefer, but I prefer positively. So yeah, I would say social media has been one of the ways that we in the entertainment industry, also another thing in terms of production value has really increased because of technology. Our movies are better, our sound is better, now of course Netflix, streaming platforms, Amazon, Google, all of these, YouTube, oh my God, YouTube, don't get me started on YouTube. So, so those have also been very, very helpful because for a long time when we started in Nollywood, we were kind of, especially in diaspora, we were kind of relegated to the mom and pop shops, in the lower income areas or where there were more predominantly Africans. But now we're on Netflix. You could just click. I could say, if I'm in LA or I'm in Atlanta or wherever I am, I can say, oh yeah, just put my film in and you can watch my film. That's of course depending on the type of deal you have. But yeah, so definitely technology has been very, very key. Who are like this young lady you're talking about, they've also gotten lots of jobs. It's created, we have so many more women behind the scenes now than before. I studied photography for a while, and when I see women who are like on set and they're DPs and, they're doing sound and continuity and all of this stuff, and they're working with the technology of now, and always upskilling, like learning more things because it's very dynamic, it's always changing, there's always something new to learn, and they're pushing, and they're really making an impact. So thank God for technology, or else we'll still be in the dark ages.
I want to jump in there quickly. I want to talk about Road 14 and technology and children. Right, so we just got 2 of our children were cast in the Disney production called Iwaju, and it's incredible, and we're so proud and we're so happy. However, that wouldn't have been possible if not for technology, right? Because the Disney team was in LA and we were here. The casting, it was all done virtually. The recordings, all done virtually. right? The producer, the director, they were all on screens.
Amazing.
When Simi was having her voice classes as well, it was all done virtually. Simi and Shiji actually never met. They didn't record in the same room at all. But with technology, they put their voices together, and their chemistry was incredible. One, yes, they are talented, but technology had a huge part to play. So I just had to add that. It's not possible for us to do anything in this day and age without technology.
I agree with you. I mean, 110%. So thank you. And by the way, you know, we did the premiere for that, right? In Lagos Film House.
You do everything.
I know. I had to put that in there. So, yeah. So ladies, okay, so I've been told we have 4 minutes left. Oh, wow. I know we can talk forever. Right? He said 4 minutes. I have about 10. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. All right. A woman has spoken. Yes. All right, so in this, and you guys, and I'd love to wrap up because I want to get some questions. So if you think about your career and what you guys have done over the, let's say decades that you guys have been in it, right? What would you say to your younger self now?
I would say keep going, you know, and I did, you know. So I'll just say kudos. I'll be like, yeah, girl, we did it, you know, because when I was younger, I had this dogged determination, even though I didn't understand why. It was like, and I feel like now in hindsight, it was like it was the Holy Spirit. You know how something inside you be telling you, go, keep going. I mean, I was very young. I was in uni, and my dad has told me, okay, you're on your own. And I had to work. I had to, you know, I had to take care of my siblings. I'm the oldest. So imagine, I'm the Ada of the family. So everything on my head. I have 3 younger brothers and a sister. Timini is our last born. Yes, and he's doing so well. I'm so proud of him. Like, come on. So it's you just keep going, you know, and I'm so proud of my mom as well because she really, and I think it's important that you have great support, you know, because without my mom, because imagine your dad saying, okay, you're on your own, and then your mom's like, you're on your own, your own don't finish you. I don't know how you do it.
No road.
I'm just being real, you know, but my mom is like, girl, go, you got it. If I come home and say, like when I did Emotional Crack, for instance, this is 2003. This is pre-LGBTQ. This is you know, accepting who you are, your sexuality, whatever. And I came home and I was like, Mom, I got this script, but I have to play it bisexual. Mm-hmm. She's like, I was like, yeah, what do you think? She's like, whatever you do it with class. And I was like, okay. And I went. The director was like, no, people have to do like this. You have to do like this. I said, if I'm going to do this film, we have to do it with class. And that's how we did it with class. And it became this cult classic. Whenever anyone's talking about it, it's always, you know, and that film actually opened doors for me. I found myself at the New York African Film Festival for the film. You know, like, this is crazy. So believe in yourself. Have support. You can't do it on your own. If you're trying to do it on your own, you will fail. It's just not going to happen. And then, you know, be intentional about those who give you positive energy. Be intentional about those people. Because there'll be more people that'll be telling you no, no. I got my dad telling me no. And it wasn't because he was mean. It wasn't because he was wicked. Like, in hindsight, he didn't understand. He was like, I'm seeing all these actors and the singers, they are going boss. I trained this child. I don't want her to be. So it was because he was worried, genuinely, like, how are you going to sustain yourself? But I felt something so strong inside me that keep going, D. Keep going. There's something for you there. And I believed that voice instead of the voice that was telling me no. And even now that I've become, because I'm also a founder of Dakori Beauty, which is a natural skincare line. Also at a time that it wasn't cool, I had dreadlocks for 13 years. I don't know if you guys remember when I had my locks. It wasn't cool. Everybody was like, So you went to the salon, you sat down, and you put dada on your head. Were you born dada? I said, no. I said, I said, why are you so worried? It's my hair. It's my head. I'm the one wearing it. Like, why are you all so bothered? you know, and I kept doing that. And now, fast forward, we have a natural hair movement. Look at my sister over here. If I come out my wig now, you will see my cornrows all to the back. My hair's been natural for 30 years. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to now segue and have a skincare line to encourage people to appreciate the way God created you. We're in an age where now everything, I'm not knocking anyone's hustle or whatever, but we're being told that we're not enough. I have daughters coming up and they're telling me, Mom, why is my hair not long like Barbie? I'm like, Auntie, you're not Barbie. You're a beautiful black woman, black girl coming up. So I had to do that. So, you know, play the long game. I think that was another thing that I did. You know, I played the long game. I didn't say, oh, I just want to be in this industry now, and leave. I knew that it was something I wanted to do. And, you know, keep evolving, you know, keep growing, keep seeking for more knowledge, you know, and my sister here about confidence mentioned explore, because you never know, you know, you might think, oh, I'm only good for this and this and this. That's how come we find that we're multi-skilled. Because if you keep thinking of yourself in only one way, that's the only one way that you're going to be. But if you say, look, I'm going to open up, and I did, and it's been such a journey, and we're still going on this journey, we're still going, you know, so yeah.
We're following you on
yes,
the journey.
we're all together. All in our own
journey,
journeys, yes.
Alrighty, so yes, they've told me it's time up, but wait 5 minutes more.
Okay, I'll make this really quick. Don't worry.
Yes.
I'll make it really quick. I would say embrace your authentic self. So I believe that we are all made intrinsically different, right? No two people are the same. We're all special, we're all different, we're all vibrant. And there's a time and a season for everything. Embrace who you are, be confident, make sure you put in the work. So if you look at, I would use Ashake as a good example. He went to University of Ife. He studied theater arts, he studied drama. So people look at him now and they say, what? How can a person do this in 1 year, 2 years? There's no artist in Nigeria who's received the amount of fame and recognition that he has. But he put in the work. We just didn't see. So when no one is looking, do your due diligence. Put in the work. Educate yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and speak life into yourself. Look for glimmers, look for joy in every single thing that you do. But most importantly, be grateful for where you are, because you never know what's to come. And that's it for
Love
me.
it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, yes. I can hand over the mic. So guys, it's been awesome. Round of applause for the ladies, please. Right? All right, so questions. So you are not limiting us just to the 4 questions.
No, 2 questions.
I will walk around and bring the mic.
I sit down? No. Yeah. My name is Tosin Adefope. I am an entertainment lawyer by training, New York and Nigeria. I also work in the UK, but I now call myself an international lawyer. My question is basically following up from what you were saying, in that even if you're not going to make money, you would still do it. However, my mother also told me that if you're doing something and you're not making money, then it's a hobby, it's not a career. So my actual question is also about negotiation tactics, because sometimes as a woman, I find that a challenging place. A lot of times I'm in the room and it's all men, and I'm thinking, should I be gentle or should I be aggressive, you know? And I also wonder how many female lawyers you have working with you, for example, because even in law school, law is usually an area where there are a lot of females. And in the entertainment space, you know, I've seen the way the industry developed in Los Angeles. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can look at, you know, templates that they used. We can look at agreements they get into. How many lawyers do you guys have? What are your negotiation tactics? How many of your lawyers are female?
I'll do a quick one. So I have 2 lawyers. One is a son, and then one is a lawyer, and they're both family, and one is a female. So my sister-in-law is one of my lawyers, and then my brother-in-law is one of my lawyers as well.
Well, I have a management company, and there's a lawyer that's attached to every artist. So that way they look at our contracts, they make sure that everything is everything. If something isn't right, we take it back, we make our notes and all of that. Because it's very important, like you pointed out. The thing is, we can't always adapt what we see in LA or London because Nigeria is its own animal. Like, it's its own, entity. We're very unique. I like that. We're special. So you definitely need someone who, even like you, who've had all those experiences, you could also bring those and adapt it to what we need here. But yeah, I do work with a lawyer. I don't sign anything without my lawyer reading it, because these are the things that you hear sometimes about artists getting into trouble, like they didn't read the fine print and they get into trouble down the line. So yeah, and you had 3 questions. It was like 1, 2, negotiation tactics. Well, you said something about what your mom said. It's true, actually. I love when exchange happens, where I do something for you, you do something for me. Don't take advantage of me. Don't take my kindness for weakness. My time is money, but there are also sometimes you may have to just say, you know what, I'm gonna let this one pass. Because you can't be too money conscious, especially in entertainment. When you're starting out, don't even mention money, please. Because if you mention money, they'll say, this one is not ready. It's true. So you have to just have a humility, but then as you grow, as you rise, then your value starts to build. And then you can say, you know what? I'm worth this. I did this, did that. I should get paid more, and then now economically there are challenges. So when you're talking about negotiation, you have to take into consideration the full 360 picture, so that way you're not denying yourself of opportunities because you're only looking at money. So you feel it out as well. Women, we are very instinctive. You know that, okay, this thing, okay, I can close eye and do it, but after this one, I won't do another one. No. Don't be a fool. Don't be a doormat. Don't let anyone take you for granted. Know your worth, and work with your legal team. Like you said, it's very, very important, because we all have our strengths. And if, negotiation is not our strength, because generally artists, we are very bad, because we're so excited by the opportunity. We're like, oh my God, I get to do this. But you're like, how much is the money? Well, we don't like talking about money. Artists generally don't like talking about money, but you need to live. So that's where the legal team comes in. So that's how I negotiate anyway.
So my situation is a little different, because my husband and I are partners. So he's the CEO and I'm the COO. And we tend to go into rooms together. And what happens all the time is that the eyes are on him. And then he goes, I don't have the money. You're speaking to the wrong person. And I think it also disarms people, right? Because I do have a certain appearance. And then when it comes to negotiations, another person comes out. So it actually it benefits us. We do a good cop, bad cop situation. And I would say it's important to have that in the back of your mind when you're going into any room, to have a plan with whoever you're walking in there with.
Thank you, guys. So our time is up. This man with the time is up, time is up, time is up. Okay, so there's one person with the mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very brief. Okay, my name is Kelly Golda, and I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. And my question is, now I run a talk show, and I started it up with my twin sister. She's Karen Helga. Now, one thing is that we've wanted to put this show on TV, and being faces that are not yet popular, we face a lot of difficulties. Now, this is an idea. One thing we know about TV is they want something creative, innovative, and this is an idea. That's this show that is quite unique, and there's none like it in Africa. But we have difficulties with bringing it on TV. And we've shot 13 episodes of this show, and editing is done, but to sell it is a problem. And someone boldly told us that, you see, to get this on DSTV, you will not be able, because it's for faces that are already known. Now, my question is, how is it possible? Because at this point, my twin and I are a bit confused on people, young ladies that are like not yet popular, yet have an idea that is sellable, and one that can bring traffic to TV. But because we're not popular here, they give us this we cannot get through to this station, and it makes it very difficult. So that's just it.
Okay. You know what I would say? Leverage technology. You know, we're in an era now where you can create content and you can put it out yourself. You know, stop YouTube. Hello. Honestly, you can put it on YouTube first, let people see, and then you also push within your network so that you get a lot of views. When you get a lot of views, then you can go to a DSTV. Then you can say, hey, we have 1 million views. They will talk to you, trust me. So don't look at the barriers. Instead, look at what you can leverage now that's in your power. Because if you continue to look at what you can't do, you're not going to do anything. You'll be discouraged because it is, you know, it's a terrifying thing. But kudos to you. You shot 13 episodes. Clap, please give them a round of applause because that is not even easy to do. So I commend you both for doing that. Well done. But use YouTube. Put your stuff out there. You are lucky. You are lucky. You are in this era. When we started, there was no YouTube. Oh. If you don't, well, no Instagram, you can use your social media. Build up yourself. You can. And I think you will. You both will. All right. Yep. Lola. Oh, wait. We've been told. Okay. Hi. Oh. Yes, babe.
As your proudest moment? And I'd like you to answer that question as well, Eunice.
I'll start. It's okay. So, my proudest moment is I am not Nigerian. I was not born here. I was not raised here. I don't have any family or friends here. I have 4 sisters, no brothers. I grew up in Toronto, lived there my entire life. 16 years ago, came to Nigeria, and everything you see now from a Q21 perspective is just by referral. 99% of my business is referrals. So the work that I do, it speaks for itself. So that for me is every time I walk into a room and I say I'm Eunice Q21 Solutions, I'm proud of it because I didn't have help. So those who say that they don't have help, they don't have an uncle, they don't have an auntie, they don't have this, they don't have that, I am a living testament that it can be done without assistance. The only assistance you need is God and the ability within yourself to determine what you want to do. And you can succeed. That's my proudest moment.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Oh my God. I didn't know. I'm like, wow, okay. Awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, because I was like, Say it again.
Yeah, married to a Nigerian, 2 lovely children. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Have you figured it out yet? No? Well, Lola, great question. You can see we're all flummoxed and tongue-tied over here. But I think for me, I would say when I won Best Actress for Isoken at the AMA Awards, that was hugely validating for me because I'd started this industry, and I've won several awards before that, but coming back into work after I'd left and, you know, I wasn't sure. I was like, will I be able to get back up to where I was? But I shocked myself. I actually surpassed where I was. I couldn't go for the ceremony because I was on set. Can you imagine? I know. But just the fact that they called my name, and even that it was in Rwanda, I was on set in Lagos, it just filled me with so much pride, and it made my daughters even say, oh, Mom is the best actress in, to them, it's like best actress in the world. You can't even tell them anything. They don't see or hear anybody. But yeah, I would say that moment, it just really made me feel like, you know what, it's been worth it, you know, and we're still going, we're still going. I like to say that because
we're going to the Oscars. Don't worry, we're going to the Oscars.
You know what? Yes, we could go to the Oscars, but for me, I want us, yes, thank you, I received that. But at the same time, I would love us to create our own Oscars. Because that validation is not from the West.
that it has to come from. It has to come from within us. So I want to see that, and I'm speaking that into the universe. I want us to connect ourselves so that we can validate the next generation. Because to me, AMA is our own Oscars. I'm sorry. We have AMVCA as well, but even though that's viewer's choice, which is a little different because it's not jury-based, but we need to enhance our established and the upcoming awards so that we can validate the work that we're doing, because it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. Forget all the glamour. It's a lot of work. So yeah, thank you.
Lola, that's an incredible question. And, you know, they say that it's important to reflect, because when you reflect, then you appreciate the journey. And I sat down here, and I went back in time. And I'm going to take us back a little bit. When I graduated from Howard University, I studied marketing, but my minor was in theater arts. I wanted to do theater arts. And my mom was an English major, and she was into theater, but for some reason she was not very comfortable with me going down that path. So we chose marketing as a nice middle ground, which worked out fine. So I had a job interview in New York, and I'm the last. So she came all the way from Nigeria. She was not a helicopter mom. She was just proud and wanted to accompany me. She didn't go into the office to do the interview, because not like the moms of now. Anyway, I have 3 children, by the way. So as we were walking to the building, there was a cast with lights and cameras and microphones and everything on the right. And then I pointed to it. I was like, Mommy, this is what I want to do. And she was like, okay, Sha, Jamalo, let's go for your interview. Did the interview. I didn't get the job. I got another job, and then I worked in the US for a year and then moved back to Nigeria. Fast forward, my mom got cancer, and then she had to go to the US, and my siblings were taking care of her, and I was here. And then I did a play. I produced a play called For Colored Girls. And we had Miss Joke Silva, Tiwa Savage, Omaomi, Weruche Opia, who is doing incredible right now, by the way. That play was her first play in Nigeria, and now she's doing incredible things in the UK. So my mom had 2 weeks that she could travel, that she could come to Nigeria. So she came to Nigeria. So she had never seen me in the creative space at all. And she sat down, she watched the play, and I'm going to look at you as I say it. She watched the play, and at the end, she came to me and she was like, in Yoruba, she said, Oyemi ubonkoto nso nisi. And that means I understand everything that you've been saying, right? And my mom passed away shortly after that. And that moment was my proudest moment, because she got to see me in my element. She got to see me doing something that was productive, that was positive, and that she could relate to as a woman. She actually cried while watching the play. Aww. So that's it for me.
I think that's a beautiful way to bring this panel session to an end. Please, one more time, a warm round of applause. Woo! You can really say we saved the best for last, so we'll allow you to. We'll allow you to take pictures. Just looking across the room, yes, we still have Anita Ibru with us. She'll join you after you take the first group picture. Please don't be in a hurry to leave. We just have one more presentation, and it's only about 5 minutes. A short video will play, and then we'll have the presentation and bring everything to a close. And even when the event does close, we have Beauty by AD outside. They're sampling their products. You can get your Lastra, get registered at Lastra. They have their stand, so you can get your Lastra card. And then we have Kinky Apothecary. So if you're into natural hair products, you want products that are not made with synthetic ingredients, please do visit them. So again, Beauty by AD, they're outside sampling, Lastra, and Kinky Apothecary. So our final speaker, I'll be inviting her, and right after she comes, we'll have the video play. Thank you so much for still being here with us. The room is still almost full, and it's already what time, so thank you again. It's still the Guardian Woman Festival. When you're posting your pictures, your videos, please keep sharing it. Thank you to all our virtual attendees still with us. A big, big thank you. So at this point, I'd like to invite Chidera Mwaka, the editor-in-chief at Marie Claire Nigeria. Please let's make her feel welcome. I think we can do better than that. A warm, rousing round of applause. Woo! And then we'll have the video play now that you're here.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I love the reception. Makes me so happy. A round of applause for women, please. Woo! Thank you so much. Okay, hello, beautiful women. My name is Chidera Mwaka. I'm the editor-in-chief at Marie Claire Nigeria. And first of all, I would love to appreciate you for being a part of the Guardian Women Festival. Just a note, Marie Claire Nigeria is licensed by the Guardian Group, and I'm here to introduce Marie Claire Nigeria to you. We are a digital magazine created to be the springboard for the advancement of women by educating, entertaining, and challenging our audience to thrive through the fusion of responsible journalism, fashion, culture, art, politics, and beauty. Just before I go on, I just want to ask, how many of us know Marie Claire as a magazine? Yeah, we're here. And we're here for you. And our journey has been long in the making. We started in 2019, but COVID tried. But we are resilient at The Guardian like we always are. You can see from the Guardian Women Festival. And we launched our website in May 2023. Our ambitions are big, just like our parent company, like the Guardian Group, who have been on a journey for over 40 years of conscience nurtured by truth, and have evolved from an independent newspaper to Nigeria's foremost, single most authoritative cross-platform publisher. You can see that with Guardian Women here. You can see that with Guardian TV, Guardian Film, Guardian Animations. We are awesome. And Marie Claire International has championed the voices of women for over 70 years and have been dedicated to celebrating the richness and scope of women's lives. This commitment is seen in our sister magazines in now 30 countries, because Marie Claire Germany is coming. Since May 2023, we've shown authenticity from our cover stories with the likes of Yemi Alade, Ejiro Mostafiri, to documenting our stories in columns with Work Life like Folu Storms, I know she was here earlier, to She Talks with Marilyn Okowa, and to unveiling our Power issue cover with the winner of Forbes Businesswoman of the Year 2024 winner, the inspiring Mo Abudu. Today and every day, we celebrate this diverse inclusion of women with our charge in Nigeria and Africa to pay tribute to the indomitable spirit of women who are not just part of the narrative, but are actively rewriting it for the future generations. And I saw a lot of them on the panels today. So please, a round of applause for the women on the panels today. Thank you so much for being phenomenal. You can be a part of our story at www.marieclaire.ng. Thank you for your time. And as the host said, Marie Claire has a beauty experience with Beauty by AD outside, and give it for everyone from Kinky Apothecary. Thank you. Woo!
I think the outfit needs a special round of applause because what is all this fashion? A 360, please. Love it, love it. Woo! Thank you again. We're going to wrap up this event. I just want to say thank you. Thank you because this has been very engaging. A lot of times you ask people, do you have questions? And everywhere is quiet, but we didn't even have enough time for the questions. And even seeing some of our panelists staying back, our moderators staying back, that just shows their belief and their commitment to the cause. So I think if we can just give a warm round of applause to everyone who has contributed to the success of Day 2 of the Guardian Woman Festival. It's really been an honor and pleasure to have hosted this event. And to close it, I would like to invite someone that has been working behind the scenes tirelessly at night, in the morning. She's still working today because there's still the awards coming up. So please, let's show her all the love as I invite the Chief Experience Officer at WOW Connect and TEPS. Please put your hands together for Toby Olanihu. Woo!
Thank you, Isabella. You've done an amazing job. Thank you, everyone. So the Guardian Woman Festival is the brainchild of Anita Ibru. I'm happy that we met 5 years ago. Anything impacts, you see me. So this was a 2-day event. We started yesterday. Yesterday was amazing. Great content. Please go to Guardian Nigeria on YouTube. You digest all the content, the convenience of your own home. So I represent WOW Connect and TEPS for this event. Everything, registration, the emails you got, scanned you in. That was our tech platform. It's called the Experience Plug Systems. Please reach out to them outside. And the experience side, this was actually my panel. Like, I love that panel. Those are my people. We always do everything behind the scenes. Nobody sees us, but it's fine. As long as everybody's happy, it doesn't matter. So I just hope that you guys enjoyed, you're empowered, you learned. And I think that for us, for the entire team, Ijoma, Anita, NJ, it's all about impact. It's all about you guys learning, connecting. Women, we can be a bit too timid. We have to talk. Yesterday, there was a gentleman that stood up to ask a question. Immediately he stood up, I knew that he wasn't going to ask a question. He was going to talk. You know, men, they like to show that they are there. Women, we have to do it more, right? You will say, where are your questions? Women will be waiting. No, speak out. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. We are doing a lot of work, right? Just speak out. Even some of the speakers today and yesterday, I know some of them personally, I don't like to talk. They are doing amazing things. More than a guy will do something for 6 months and he says he's an expert. A woman will do something for 20 years and say, oh no, don't worry. Let's stop all that. Let's amplify our own voices. We are doing great work. And the people that make the most noise sometimes aren't doing anything. And everybody sees them around. They're like, oh, those people are good. And you guys are doing amazing work, are just quiet. I don't know how I'm knowing about her for the first time in my life. You're doing amazing work in MMA. Like, why am I just knowing of you now? So please, let's amplify other women, celebrate other women. There's a time I posted something for 2 of my colleagues, Eunice and Duton. You know, Duton does polo events, and Eunice does AMVC. And somebody actually had the guts to send me a message. Oh, I didn't know your competitors. I'm like, no, they're my sisters, and we all rise together. So let's always, celebrate other women. The sky is large enough for all of us. There's a lot to do locally and internationally. So please, let's keep amplifying each other. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot to eat. You know, things are expensive now, so please stay and eat and drink. So thank you so much, and keep winning.
The event, well, you can hear me. The event is over, but please still stay behind, network, speak to the Guardian Woman team. If you like what they are doing, you want your voice amplified, now is the time. Make the most of this opportunity. I want to say a big, big thank you again to every single person. My name is Isabella Adediji, and it's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Ma, being your host today. All right, please, let's go outside. Let's stop by the... They have goodies for us from Kinky Apothecary. please, 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 let's make the most of this opportunity. And of course, we all have complimentary copies of the Guardian newspaper. And if you won a ticket, or rather an entry pass, please see me. There are 3 winners, a gentleman and 2 women. Again, there is food plenty, drinks plenty. Please eat, drink. There's enough to go around.
Everything I like. Notice you, 'cause you're beautiful.
The best thing in the world. No change for anybody else. Any brown skin girl, the skin just like pearl. The best thing in the world.
I never trade you for anybody else singing.
She says she really grew up boy like me.